again on Monday. It'll be the same bat time and the same bat channel. But in case you were wondering what Obi and Neil were up to in the 3 intervening hours while we were yapping, you'll find out now. We're going to see you guys on Monday. Let's see Sharif at the green screen. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Welcome to the afternoon rundown show. Here we go. Welcome to the afternoon rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Sean, Obi, I'll get it right. They're locked, they're loaded, they're ready to look at the trades as decided by you. So make sure to join Adair and I on the How to Trade Midday Show and get into the chat, subscriber only chat, and vote for your favorite tickers every day. This is a look at the NQ, and it is faring the worst out of the bunch right now. In fact, the NQ is down about 2.57%, faring much, much worse than the ES, which is down 1 2/3, the Dow about 1%, and then the Russell about 1 2/3%. All the indices in the red without exception, all the Mag 7 as well in the red without exception. Starting with the first of these Mag 7 names, Nvidia. Bit of a tough day today for Nvidia as the microchip trade winds down. There was this headline, which obviously not market moving, but very interesting for the long-term look here, guys. China offers Nvidia's AI chips at a discounted rent as low as $6 per hour, despite U.S. sanctions. Looks like those sanctions are working, guys.
A little bit. I mean, first off, I got to say a big shout out to the entire team at Trader TV. We had some new photos taken, so if you look at the thumbnail, I see Vic Yan Novak just said oil painting quality on the new pics.
Okay, all right.
I mean, you know, we were doing our Vogue thing.
Yeah.
I was without my crutch as I was doing different poses. Not really. We were just standing and smiling. So hopefully everybody likes those. So you know the good thing about Nvidia for me today is I don't have a single short in Nvidia, and yet it's not even the worst stock I had this week. Which is weird because hold on a second, I'm going to count them up for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times long. And okay, so this one technically was profitable. That was profitable. So 2 for 7, which is pretty good if you're a Toronto Blue Jay. The worst part is the last entry at noon. Of course it was at noon. Then I did the lesson of the day and then I got up. And that's how it works. Now, obviously, it would have been nice to have been short, and we were having a lot of conversations about this, and this is why the lesson of the day was, if you don't get the price that you want for the direction that you want, maybe just join the trend somewhere else. Now, in my defense, I like to short in Intel and AMD better, but I don't have any shorts in AMD. But it never got to the 110 on Nvidia. It did feel like if we couldn't push through that, you were going to get more range bound into 104, and lo and behold, the best long for me was the 104. If I'd only taken that one trade, then you're laughing. It goes 104, I trailed at 105. I didn't even hold on to any of it on the way back in, so it wasn't even like the VWAP trade. But you've got to be able to jump in the other direction at times. I thought we'd get a test of that high on some strength. It just never happened. Now, what did I short? Spoiler alert, Intel's a piece of you-know-what. Its chart looks, it's so much easier. This is the thing. It's so much easier to be short something like this when you're looking for negative than it is Nvidia, because Nvidia is Nvidia and Intel's Intel. And I know that's kind of a weird oversimplification, but joining the trend early and then just shorting pops made a lot of sense when you're looking at a relatively weak name. But you got to be able to flip the script, even on the ones that you think are strong. Nvidia feels to me like we're inevitably heading for a $100 test. So if you're short the chip names, great. Nvidia cannot seem to get back to that 104, which is that key support level. If we're not above there, or even at least the 103 this afternoon, if we just barcode off the bottom, I think you want to play some short pops. Just keep in mind that any covering that would happen, it's the shorts that have been printing. So if you get covering going into the end of the week, it kind of would be some buying, but the trend is your friend. And it's all well and good to be like, oh, I like this stock a little bit more for the long than the short. Well, it might be true that I liked AMD and Intel for shorts better than Nvidia. That didn't mean I needed to be long Nvidia 7 times. You know, and that's the way you got to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I got some learning to do with that. to the downside for sure. Again, I was also attempting longs multiple times over and over again, spent a little too much risk on Nvidia longs as it just continued to kind of bleed off. We were like, oh, that 100 could be coming in off of that 104 break, and that 104 was definitely key, and definitely my fault for not respecting it. Take a look at this, Neil. A little bit of a triple, quadruple bottom right here. You got some 4 a.m. candles, you got some intraday opening range lows there, you got some pre-market lows going into the open off of 830, and then today as well, a little bit of a hold of that 104 area, but incrementally making lower highs as well underneath that 110. And take a look at this. Just continuing that trend to the downside. Leg down, chop, 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 consolidation. A little bit of a continuation down into that 100 area right now. 195 is the day low, and we're trading a little bit sideways there, but take a look at the NQs. We can't really get above that 18.5, so I'm curious to know whether or not Nvidia will give us that 100 going into the close today. End of the week, coming in a little bit red, just a skosh, I guess.
Mara's continued weakness, continued weakness is obviously present here as it breaks down below that $15 level. There was this headline though, shares of these crypto-related names obviously weaker with in sympathy with the overall market. There was this headline from yesterday as well. So production falls about 3%. In August, the amount of Bitcoins that they mined, but their hash rate went up 11%, possibly explaining the big move that we saw yesterday in Mara.
Well, Mara, like a lot of other things, if you were looking short on Mara for the continuation of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, now 9 days in a row, barring miracle, that it is to the downside, well, the market went down. So if you just went back into the same thesis, which was short Mara, every chance that you get, you would have won today. That's easier. It's always easier said than done. There was, I think, an absolute gift right at 11 o'clock. And you'll probably remember, we were just heading over to the midday when all of a sudden you saw a bit of a volume candle and explosion in a few charts to the upside. One of them was, Apple was going, everything was going. Like Mara just popped right into VWAP at that moment. And I essentially had it. And then as it started to come back in, I was getting out sort of aggressively, then realized, hey, we just got a gift. Shoot, we should be thinking about this a little bit better. And by that time, I had already covered 3/4 of it. I was like, oh, now I need to hold. I need to find a way back in. And then I didn't take the break of the low. And there was some discussion about the break of this low on Mara. It was right down around the August 5th bottom as well. And when that went, I don't like it. I should have been adding to it. I'm flat on it now. I'm out of it now because I shorted a pop back into it, and I feel like I should still be shorting back into this 13.5 on Mara. You couldn't have gone wrong shorting it, but it was certainly not. I didn't have the best timed entries except for the lucky one where it just popped into VWAP and gave an absolute gift, and I feel like I should have had a little bit more going with Mara. 13.5. That's that August 5th bottom, and that's the big one. It's holding on barely underneath it, but if it doesn't get back above, got to favor the short still. The miners have been taking on the chin, with the exception of HUD 8. HUD 8 hasn't really fared all that poorly.
Yeah, I think something to remember when you're taking a look at some of these miners is, of course, some of the coins that they're mining, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum, again, being the leaders of the crypto market right here. You can see that Bitcoin has been taking a little bit of a pullback. From about end of last month. We did bounce again August 5th, a little bit of a bounce coming in on Bitcoin as well off the 49,000. We get to 65s, double top 65s, and we've been in a pretty much a strong downtrend since then. And now take a look at Bitcoin today, right? So today coming in off of the open, off of some of these pre-market prices, straight fade to the downside, 53.6. Are the lows, and yeah, Mara looking very, distinctly similar to that Bitcoin price action right here, 1436 day high, and look at that clean trend to the downside. I'm curious to know where this will stop. A little bit of action here as well. Look at that double top, 1380s right here coming in, failing to follow through past this consolidation from prior day, kind of honing in and reinforcing, confluencing on the idea of the continued multi-day downtrend that Mara, and again, as Neil said, as some of these miners have been having, again, with the confluence of cryptos selling off like Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. So something to watch.
All right, the worst performing Mag 7 name on the day, TSLA. Tough look here, 7.25% in the negative. But you'll recall the last couple of days, Tesla's been quite strong. So giving back a bit over here. There was this headline from yesterday, Morgan Stanley reiterating their overweight rating on Tesla and maintaining that same $310 price target. But this is what I wanted to show you guys. What do you guys think about the new Model Y, the Juniper? I think I'm digging it, man. I like the front. I like the back. I like how they're doing the light bar now, which is like very consistent with these electric vehicles. I think the front looks a lot more aggressive.
Yeah,
I think it looks fantastic. You know what? The only person that likes that more is Little Sharif. I mean, Big Sharif likes it a little bit. Little Sharif is digging it. Like, trust me, you see the grin on his face when the Tesla rolls in there. All these laughs and all this fun and this segment of the show is brought to you by our good friends Moomoo. Moomoo is shaking up the investment game with its cash sweep program and offering an incredible 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, far surpassing typical stock returns. This all-in-one app backed by NASDAQ and the SEC ensures your funds are safe with FDIC insurance up to $500,000. Your cash earns interest 24/7, and you can access it anytime to reinvest when the market turns. Plus, sign up now to snag 15 free stocks and bonuses up to $2,300 in Canada. Don't let your money sit idle. Make it work for you. Scan that QR code below. Maybe make a little bit of extra coinage with Moomoo. And then you can not only, I was going to say you can invest in a Tesla. No, you can invest in a green screen so you can have a little mini-me running around at all times. What I'm trying to figure out here, we'll get to Tesla in a second. How come there's no like... Oh, he doesn't know? Sharif doesn't know about that? Oh, he's saying he knew. Ramin's saying Sharif didn't know. But I want like a mini me too. Like I want, like if I'm in a trade, if you have, no, I want like, I know we can't do it here, but like if we taped like little things of us doing stuff, right? So like me as a devil and me as like an angel. And then all of a sudden, if I'm trying to go long Tesla off of 220 instead of taking the break short, I can have like Devil Neil saying, ooh, fight the trend. And I can have Angel Neil saying, stock's going down, bruh. You need to just go short. And we could tape those kind of things. And you could pop it here when I'm kind of fighting a trend and then let me know. So I actually had an accidental trade in Tesla, which probably would have been really good. I made one trade. I liked one level in Tesla. The only good news is I waited for it to get there. Now, obviously, that 235 level, it's all well and good to say 235 resistance. But this turned off 235 before the market opened. And my gut was telling me that if that's a short, it's a fail to break short, it's a short after the open. By the time 9:30 hit, you were already breaking down on Tesla. And this is why the lesson of the day was what it was. You missed the opportunity at the key price level. You got to find a place to join it. And someone asked, red or green today. It's like, okay, so yeah, found enough shorts so that it's all right. But it's like just one more short. Like if I catch AMD, if I catch Tesla, anything that I like that I didn't get in, just one makes your entire day from having what I like to consider like days within a certain range up or down flat. So even if I'm green, it's a flat day. Because I didn't have any big, like, where's the big one? There was no big one today. And I think it should have been something like this Tesla when it came back into 225, like somewhere in there. I did wait till 220 to try the long. I got a 50-cent win, and then I kind of lost like 40-something cents on the rest. I accidentally went short, meaning it wasn't my intention to flip into the short, and clearly, like, it was a fantastic breakdown at 220. I think Tesla's in some real trouble here because 235 was a pretty big zone. The good news would be that you haven't really broken the upward trend that it's been in. You connected like that. Like, there you go. Like, you're going to retest the bottom in here, which would seem like about 210. That's the good news, and it's above the 200-period moving average, but it went right into the resistance on the last bounce. Obvious 235 support to resistance to dump into 210. So I think until you get to 210, I don't even know why I'd be thinking about any longs on this thing. It just should be all shorts. Yeah, pretty nasty day. 7% for Tesla here. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. No real relief. And sure, yeah, the trend kind of slows down, but the trend is still definitely there as we were printing, I guess, only about 20, but within 20 pennies below low a day right now. Again, Tesla's super kind of weak on the day there, or super strong to the downside, depends on how you're looking at it. But yesterday we observed that 235 come in, and again, as Neil pointed out, a little bit of a key level if you look further back on the chart as well, and that resistance showing up very aggressively right off of the open there, breaking those pre-market lows. A little bit of a double or like a support and resistance area right here on the 226s. Now that was a great trade yesterday. The 226 pre-market high, kind of opening range break as well through that 226 into 235. And take a look at what happens when we come in and break below. You even on the bid on the first kind of slowdown here. This is a 3-minute chart. When you finally actually start seeing some green candles, we just reject that 226 once again for a continued flush to the downside here. Yeah, those Teslas are definitely looking nice. This chart, not as much, but you know, a little bit of a red Tesla Roadster going downhill here on the day. 234s to 213s. Oh boy, are we going to get to 210s today? That's the next question right there. We did wipe prior day's kind of range, and we're coming right into Wednesday's range as well. I want to point out that the week low is all the way down here at what is that? 207s. 207s is the opening, or actually that's Friday. Never mind. I keep forgetting Monday. Monday was the day off. So I guess week low at just shy of that 210. We're only about 4 points away from there. Tesla to the downside. Again, market tailwind is definitely on the side of the shorts today. So that's something to keep note of, I think.
Dow and the S&P having their worst day since March 2023. Not the NASDAQ, though. Next on the hopper here, GME up about 4 1/4 last time I checked. Keith Gill, Roaring Kitty, Catman, whatever you want to call him, he tweeted with on X, and here it is. It's, you know, Toy Story, I forget the name of that character, but dropping a dog there, which was kind of interpreted maybe as him dropping Chewy. And that's exactly what we got here at around when the tweet hit. Chewy dropped, but got back up, guys. I'll get it right. It's Friday. What's the look?
Yeah.
Dump it. No, so I actually was in Chewy twice. I should have just stopped it once. It was.
You had the short.
I mentioned this during the lesson of the day, I think, because this was happening in that moment. Like it broke 26. I'm thinking the floodgates are going to open up. So I just essentially took the 26 break. Then, you know, it bounced off 25.5. It bounced off 25.20. Did not need to do any reloading. It's so gimmicky. Like I ended up trailing out, and then I tried another little short in there. It probably should have been like once it gets back above 26, it's probably a long at that point, and now 26 is support. I think Chewy's done, but you know what ain't done yet? Good. GameStop. GME is back above VWAP. So, okay, fine. You can argue it's forming a bit of a wedge here, like lower highs and lower lows, but you choose to look at it any way you want to. And one of the things to consider here is you have the morning highs, or yeah, technically we'll just call this like the opening area highs. Like we got to like 22.80 in here, and then yesterday's tops, 22.6. So you essentially find support at both of those levels. Like first support ends up like yesterday's top, and then second support ends up the morning's top. Either way, you're finding support underneath 23 on GameStop. What's interesting about this is how coiled up it is right now. You know, like you're getting, I call them muted moves. They're not really all that muted, but compared to what this usually squeezes, they're very muted, and they're rejecting the 50 period. Like, why does a squeeze stock care about the 50 period moving average so much? I have no idea. It just seems to. That's about 23.5. So if you can see what's happening at that 23.5, like you have close, you have runaway, support, lose it, resistance, fail it, drop. Like 23.5 has been the key level. Today, it's an absolute mess at that price, and it's completely useless. So I think it's better for like a close or a swing. I think looking at just the day trade today, it's best to ignore 23.5. It's completely meaningless right now, and look for any dips that can hold into 23, I think are good. And until we start holding above VWAP, and I'm not talking about just like hold above. I want like consolidation above. Like what happened here, that's what I like. there's your consolidation above, there's your break. I know it didn't continue, but that's what I like to see. Consolidate above, break out, start giving you some longs into the high of the day, and maybe this can go squeezing. Because if the market decides to just go sideways or bleed, one of those two things, I mean, you're either holding on to some good shorts, finding new short entries and names that'll follow the market, or you're looking for some kind of a squeeze name or a low float runner to start going, and then you might grab yourself a bit of a long. Right now, I don't see anything better than GME here. Maybe there is. You guys let me know. Is someone else that's moving better than this? GameStop, because like just in here, it made like a 2.5% move or whatever that is, like 22.80 to 60 cents there. So yeah, you get like a couple of points in just about 15 minutes or so on GameStop. What else is doing that?
Yeah, some crazy action there. And again, I wonder where Roaring Kitty kind of made his tweet. I think the volume's pretty telling here. Kind of intraday news. You see that breakout right there. That's pretty solid right there. So, but the thing is, I think that you'd have to be kind of maybe on the ticker or be pretty fast with that. I guess intraday catalyst type of news. We did revert pretty much the whole move, but we are holding above that opening range high as of right now, 2280s, which I think is definitely interesting. The lower highs building on top of VWAP as well. So I guess right here. So we're basically kind of orbiting VWAP as of right now. Take a look at this higher lows as well, higher lower highs. So a bit of price compression happening into this VWAP today. Let's see where GME goes. But yeah, this is definitely one that is that can and definitely will move if there is pressure one way or the other. But look at that prior high right there, 24.69. Today we can only get to 24.48. Let's see what GME does going into the close. A little bit of spice starting at the beginning of the weekend here.
A little ice spice.
A little ice spice.
Obi getting good with the segues there, despite Ram hitting the fail. All right, Nio, the last one on the rundown over here, up much higher than the market, about 4 1/3 last time I checked. Yeah, they reported not that long ago excellent EPS growth, delivery growth. They beat on the top and bottom line, and they got the upgrade from the king, JP Morgan, from neutral to overweight, and a price target bump up from $5.30 to $8. Guys, what do you think about this one though? Because this is the ES8. So I showed you the new Model Y, but this is Nio's version, their high-class SUV, and it's obviously got all the toys. Well, let this play out a little bit, Neil. What do you think about this? Ob, you like this car or what?
I mean, it's got some seats, it's got some wheels, it's got a chassis. Don't know how it drives yet. You gotta get it. You gotta get in the vehicle. You gotta take it for a ride, test drive. You gotta be like, all right, you know, is this the one for me? I don't know, you know, but it looks all right. I mean, a lot of things look all right.
You literally just named a bunch of stuff that are in all cars. It's like, it's got all that stuff.
I mean, it's got some wheels, you know. It's look, it's got a hood.
You know what's actually
those lights are actually pretty dope.
You know what I noticed first? Yeah. No, at the very beginning of that video, there was like a dude outside of the store or whatever, I guess it is, the showroom, that was walking by with just like a gaggle of balloons. And I'm like, I'm not even making this up. My first thought was like, oh, were those helium balloons? You see, play it again. Notice, like, I'm an attention to detail kind of person. No, you'll see it if you play it. The guy's like, here it comes, boom.
Boom, right there. That's like toys or something.
Is it toys or is it balloons?
Or balloons or something.
That's my first thought was like, yo, are those helium balloons? Like, what's going on? Be careful with those, how you tie them down. Because we did a bunch of helium balloons for my daughter's, I'll get to Nio in a second. We did a bunch of helium balloons for my daughter's last birthday. And I remember, we had to transport them to the place that we were doing our party. And we lost a couple on the way. Like, you could think you tied them down well, but like, it's, you know, and then of course it's like, if the princess one's gone, it's just going to be a complete mess. But Nio was great yesterday, and then Nio shook me out today. So I'm not happy with you, Nio. Like, Nio yesterday was easy longs. Today, I was taking the break, and then I had my stop in underneath what at the time was like a 95 level support. I get wicked out of this stock, and of course at this time, at about 9:45, this is when I'm looking for, can I get into short in AMD? Can I get into short in Intel, which I'll get to in a second, all that kind of good stuff. And I just completely missed the best opportunity to get back in. Generally speaking, if I like a stock like this and it wicks me out early, I'm jumping right back into that trade. I did so yesterday on Nio, but this happened a little bit early in the session when I was still trying to get into some of the bigger cap names. Huge mistake for me on NIO today. But it ended up not really doing all as much. It never broke the 525 level. There was a question in the chat. Where was it? Who said it? Tony, hi Neil, you top ticked this short in Intel on this push. If you did, would you love to hear why you shorted it? So the short answer for why I shorted Intel is because it's Intel. The long answer for why, and if you ever wonder why I like certain prices, to me the most simplistic trade, technically speaking, is to find when a stock is trending down, find a previous support level to turn into resistance. That's the most simplistic thing for me. If I'm looking to short a pop, then the lowest hanging fruit is where did it find a bid before, and does that turn into a sell zone? So it caught a bid at about, and this is like early pre-market, it was about 1911, 1912 or so. So I just pulled on over. And if you look at what happened at that price earlier in the day, like I was short into this level where it bounced. And when it rolled over, it essentially is the same price. Like this is the same price. That 1912 I just talked about, it turned at 13 and then made a lower high where I was telling you guys in the middle of the day, in the lesson of the day, that I should have shorted right in there, which would have been about 1904, 1905 with a stop at 1907. So absolute blind luck, later in the session, it pops to the exact level that I wanted to short but didn't short at 1024. And I happened to be sitting in my station when it happened. Every now and then the market gives you a trade back that you should have already had in the first place. And you know the level because you were watching it and you missed it. And then it comes right back to that price and gives you that chance. So you want to have muscle memory when it comes to price levels. If you know the stock, the levels that it traded at. When it's popping to the upside, I'm thinking, does it get to that price? Because that's where I wanted to short it that last time through. So I didn't get top wick ultimately, but it's like that's the level that it turned at before. And that's the most simplistic thing when you're looking at or trading a stock. And it's why Sharif likes to say, both Sean and Sharif like to say it, like, don't let the stock off the hook. I don't remember who said it first, but that's what it means. If a stock that you like goes to a price that you like, or the direction that you want, then you want to take the trade. I understand if you're under a PDT rule, you can't always do stuff like that. But when you're at a prop floor and you can make as many trades as you want, if it's still setting up and the trend is good, why wouldn't you get back into the trade? Unfortunately, on Nio, I did not, despite how cool that car may or may not look.
Yeah, I mean, the car was all right? I mean, like I said, I described that it has certain features of a car. It's acceptable. Nonetheless, but again, I don't know how it drives, so that would be the whole experience, right? You get the car for multiple things, and one main thing is to drive you around and give you a good experience. So
some people just care about getting point A to point B. Like not everybody's about driving for the fun of driving.
No, of course, but it's like if
everyone's
it's uncomfortable, that's that might be a little bit of an issue. But yeah,
that car is definitely comfortable. I mean, I'm sure it's comfortable.
It looked comfortable. Yeah, let's say that. So VWAP hold, we were talking about the $5 level in the pre-market right there, and we did break through that $5, got up to 5.18s, but a little bit of a sideways chop, holding on to VWAP, a little bit of VWAP orbit here around that $5 mark on Nio. Now taking a look at the daily chart, we can see that it's been in a little bit of a run over the past few days right here. Since I guess end of August, you had that strong little flush right there, and then post earnings as well, getting that bid through earnings, even before earnings coming in, and then a little bit of a gap and push off of earnings, attempting to push back up into its former glory. Let's see if this double bottom or this bottom here at that 361 is it. But taking a look at a higher time frame, you can see on the weekly, oh boy, have we come from quite a way there. All-time lows being here at that $1.19 all the way from early 2019 as well. So right place at the right time, a little bit of a hype through 2020, 2021, and then that nice little backside coming in over multiple years here on Nio. Yes, sir.
So there was a very quickly here.
About that.
Not to interrupt, but there was a huge volume spike and a big wick through the low of the day here on JP Morgan. As you can see right here, here's what just happened. JP Morgan's going to report customers who exploited a TikTok glitch to authorities, investigating thousands of potential check fraud cases, and will share evidence with local police. So JPM gonna snitch on all them TikTok people that made that coin.
Oh.
I'm just saying. And here's, okay, I'm an old man, so every now and then I'm gonna rant and stuff. Now, if you're gonna do some, like if you're gonna do something to exploit or whatever, like, or make a little bit extra money, or just there's a glitch in something and you want to show it off, like what's with the deal of like, let me just show everybody that I'm doing it? Like, why would you film yourself doing it and then like try to get big? Because if you're just getting free money off of something, why don't you just keep the money and keep it to yourself? Because at least that way you're less likely to get caught, and then not as many people are gonna know about the glitch because you didn't share it, and then we would make more money off of it. I mean, that's where my head goes with all that. So I never really understand the mentality behind it. Everyone wants to get themselves out there. Like I said, I'm just an old man, but that was a pretty hefty volume spike on JPM. So apparently they don't like it when you snitch. Just broke the low and it's trying to come back into the upside as we speak. JP Morgan down 2.5 points today, not very good. So when the futures lost that bottom, this was the stock that Chris said when the Brecher ledge broke, this is the one that he wanted to short. So let me go look, and I'm just gonna do this where I'm pulling up my ES. So when did we lose 5,500 on the way down? That's about here. That's too early, that's 9 o'clock. So you gotta look for the retest. So let's call it, that's like 11 o'clock. Sorry, this is futures time. So it's 10 o'clock there, and that's 11 o'clock. So what happened at 10 and 11? So at 10 o'clock, you are here. Okay, you easily could have just shorted VWAP. And at 11 o'clock, you're getting this spike. So I'm gonna talk to Chris next week. And if he didn't have one of those two JP Morgan, I know he did, that's how he rolls. But like that was a pretty hefty spike. When the market popped back up to retest the Brecher legend the other way, he would have been able to short JP Morgan through 216. And this was the stock he picked. He said he wanted to find something that was lagging a little bit, so a good look there. Yeah, you guys can explain all that TikTok logic to me. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you gonna out yourself? Why would you film yourself committing a crime? Or I mean, it's not even a crime, or just exposing something. You're young, maybe you understand it, Obi. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know what's really going on there, but something interesting. I did pull up the JPM chart here, coming into a couple, I guess, potentially significant levels. Here's an anchor. The blue anchored is to prior earnings right here from Friday, July 24th. And then this red anchored is off of that August 5th kind of dump here. A little bit of a cross of those. We're coming into those levels right here off of this flush. So it could be interesting here. 210 on that earnings anchored, and then 211.66 on off the anchored on the dip. Lots of volume coming in and picking up the ticker off of that August 5th. Now again, not only is that the case on JPM, but multiple tickers as well. A lot of things have been bid up from that August 5th drop there, and we are coming in to some of those levels here on JPM on this flush in today. So it should be interesting. A little bit of a sandwich between 211s and 211 halves and 210 halves is where both of those anchors lie. And as of right now, we did dip into that area and take a look at that little bit of a wicking action with some strong volume. This is, Nio, the strongest volume bar on the day as of right now. That's pulling into that prior anchored level. So let's see whether or not some of these levels hold. If it gets below, it would technically mean that any and every long from both of those events would be a little underwater. I would say, or at least half of them.
Like usually that's kind of like a reversal candle, but yeah. I feel like going long when they're basically like snitching everybody, and everyone in the chat's like, "No, it was a crime. It's check fraud that everyone was doing," which makes it even more weird that they would rat on themselves like that. But yeah, unless it regains, when you get a reversal candle like this, like a huge volume candle with a wick like that, unless it breaks back above prior resistance, you can't look at it as a reversal until it's back above like 212.30. Like it has to regain that bottom, unless it's just still a short. So yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that one. GameStop's trying to hold VWAP, so I'm gonna go back over to GME. Just made a nice little bounce off VWAP here. The thing I don't like about it is if you look at that kind of double top, like since the last move, now you're starting to form a bit of a downward pattern. Like you could join it like this if you wanted to, or you could join it like this, which I'm more inclined to. Either way, like very clearly, like you can maintain this resistance, bounce off VWAP and break it out. So when I say I want something to consolidate, in a general sense, what I mean is I want it to hold VWAP and then break away from either one of those loose trend lines. right? So that's what I'm looking for in GameStop. I mean, I don't have to leave those in. Like visually, it kind of makes sense to everybody. I know sometimes I'll draw them, sometimes I won't, but that's what logically when I say I want it to hold VWAP and then break out, it needs to break somewhat of this downward trend, which it hasn't done. You need to be patient. This market doesn't want to go. Like we're just about to test the ES bottoms again. The NASDAQ is on the lows. Just to go back to what I am in, I have a bid down at 75 for obvious reasons on Intel, and then the low of the day is going to come into play. But I'm looking over at some other names here that we haven't even touched today.
What are those?
Like one of them, so I'm looking at Micron. Let me go to the daily chart first. So I know no one ever likes picking bottoms on a day like today, but if you look at where Micron bounced, so this is that August 5th, everyone's crying day, and then it holds on to 86 the next level. It's at 86 right now. So like essentially where it held the higher low is where Micron is trading right now, holding yet again a higher low. If the market is able to reverse, I want something that with room to go that's not making fresh lows when the market's making a fresh low. And that's at a good level. So Micron kind of fits into that category, where if it holds on to the higher low and the market decides to bounce and there's some short covering, I guess, going into the weekend, then this would be a name. But it has to hold on to that higher low. Until then, I'll look for GameStop to be the way as long as it can break out of this trend line, GME, which it's struggling to do, unfortunately. Like, look at it. It just cannot seem to catch a bit of a bid. Where the buying's gone, the volume's dead. Maybe there's something else moving. I keep my eyes on the scanner to see what's going around, but there doesn't seem to be too much of anything that's making some fresh highs or wanting to break out or doing relative volume right now.
I think that things are just attempting to potentially push day lows here, Neil.
Yep.
I see that Sinful Davey in the chat. Why does Obi use 15-minute charts? Well, I don't just use 15-minute charts. I use 3-minute charts. I use 5-minute charts, 30 minutes as well. Hourlies. We had this conversation last time as well. I like the 3-hour. I like the daily as well. Weekly. Kind of building a bigger picture perspective, right? If you're kind of locked into the 1 minute at all times, I guess it's not. I don't know. I don't really like to I guess operate like that. But 1 minute, a little bit too choppy for me. I know people like the 2 minute as well. 3 minutes. I definitely vibe with the 3 minute for sure. Here, it kind of cleans up the action on the 1 minute, gives you a little bit of a bigger picture. And again, 15 being a multiple of 3s and 5s there, kind of giving you a little bit of a bigger picture perspective as well. Night also kind of chops up the day chops up the hour into quarters as well. So that's I also like that look. And again, taking into consideration the bigger picture price action is what I like to use those multiple time frames before. For Ponzi Fonzie saying SPY is short. Let's take a quick look at the SPY. Oh boy, we are attempting to push day lows here on the Spider. So Spider definitely falling down a little bit there. A little bit of consolidation. 557s, 564s over the past couple of days there. Sure, you do attempt to break out. You do attempt to break down, but staying within the range. And then over the past couple of days, we did break that range low and started to fade in, and then I guess we're seeing some more of that similar action happening here on some of the other names as well on the day. There goes, is that low day? That's low. We're about
ES
15, 20 pennies away from day lows. ES lows for sure coming in on the NASDAQ as well. But yeah, nothing too much moving too crazily. Things were moving off of the open there, and we flushed to the downside. So I did kind of I did now I do want to be I do want to be open. I did I guess shut down on getting too aggressive on the longs. Right, I was too aggressive. I kept on trying the long, being aggressive, getting chopped up, paper cut, and before you know it, you've spent too much risk on the day, Obi. You got to reassess your plans. You got to reassess your discipline, your executions, and maybe reassess your life as well, as that aggression is obviously not the best. Again, don't exactly. Fabian saying you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself, and I definitely wrecked myself today because I was not checking myself. Spent too much I guess aggression. Again, we talk about having rules, Neil. Today was a day I did not follow my rules. I have a 3-strike rule, being like, all right, if you're trying to attempt a direction, right? Getting long, get stopped out, getting long, get stopped out. I got long multiple times today, Neil. I think over 7 or 8 times I attempted the long. So definitely violated my rule. And it's clear when you violate your rules, the market is very unforgiving. So a little bit shut down on the day, but that's perfectly, I mean, it's not perfectly
so
okay.
weird.
We're in the demo right now, trying to take reps, trying to build back, let's get a couple of wins under the belt in terms of decision making and process is the goal. So we come back on Monday swinging harder, right? What is the next trade? Where is the next trade? That's the mental that I like to have. And right now, I know it's not showing on the position board right there, but I do like this hold of that 101 on Nvidia. Taking a look at Nvidia. Now, again, I am long once again
right.
on Nvidia after trying the long all the way to the downside through the range break. But take a look at this, Neil. One of the bigger candles on the day here, dipping off of 195-day lows, and we've been chopping sideways. So I do like that 102 hold that we're doing right now. Sure, we can continue to the downside, but this is holding and consolidating underneath that 18.5 as of right now. So again, where's the next trade? That's what I'm looking for. Better decision making, better discipline. So Neil, I have a question for you.
The answer is maybe.
All right.
Okay, no, go ahead.
So
I'm just
clearly I'm not in the best mindset today. Not really, I guess, respecting or trusting this price action. That's clearly showing me that okay, VWAP is crashing. We're breaking below range lows. We're broken below multi-day lows below that 104. We're respecting the trend, which is basically the rejection of that 130, rejection of higher time frame trend resistance around there. We're continuing to the downside, back down into 100. So I don't know if you've gone through this, but what is something that you do to kind of get back on the horse when you've been on a bit of a losing streak, or like a little bit of a okay, I'm not really following my my playbook or my actions, or not really faltering on your discipline?
But you're gonna hate this answer.
All right.
Stop doing the thing that I was doing when I was making those mistakes.
All right.
So like the first thing I would do, like if I'm sitting there and I'm like fighting a stock, then the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just not gonna go the direction on that stock. Okay. Because from a psychological standpoint, like if you're breaking your rules, like that, like the thing that's causing you to break your rules is the worst place for you to be, because that's the one that, like, you can find a long somewhere else. And it's something, I have nothing against Nvidia. Like, you want to get reps on it because it does a ton of volume. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like there's probably a bunch of other things that could be bounce plays. Like, find one, like a bounce play that's doing something. Find a long that's following a rule of yours. Here's an example. Hey, Davis says take a walk. No, I just saw in the chat. Here. Fluffy Hippo. And I'm showing you guys in the chat just so I didn't make up this name, man. Like, hey, Neil just said Fluffy Hippo said Palantir's along. No, Fluffy Hippo just said Palantir looks good. So here is what I would say to that. PLTR, you want to look for the market to bounce and find a long bounce. Find a stock that's following a rule that you would, generally speaking, want to be long it anyways. So here's an example of that. Palantir, do I have a level where I'd be buying from where I'd know I'm wrong? Previous day 30, is 30 significant? Well, it was this morning, and then it was resistance, then it was resistance, then it was support, then it was support, and it's bouncing off 30 for scalp trades into 20, which also happens to be opening range tops. So like this is actually setting up a long, which would probably follow a lot of people's playbooks. You can just long off VWAP, give it to 29.95. Now I sound like an infomercial. Give it to 29.95 down here. Scalp it to here. If it breaks out that, take it to there. If it breaks out the top, you're going. And if the market goes, you're good to go. But the stock that you haven't been right on is usually the one that you're going to have the least clear sense of how to read it. And sometimes you just got to be scanning. I'm always looking for other things. The other thing you can do is on the imbalance locator, but you can go through like a quote board, maybe scan to see what isn't as bad today. Oh, AMC's up today. And just sort of look at what's actually up. Really not a heck of a lot. The GameStop and AMC and Chipotle apparently is having a decent day. It's just my quote board. Like, you go find things that aren't as bad in that sense and look for longs there. But I actually kind of like this Palantir. And Palantir looks pretty good off this 30. Someone seems to be in rather control of it with this triple top. I don't know that I want to take a breakout with the market's at its lows. Maybe it dips into VWAP. I'm going to throw Palantir up here because GameStop is not looking good anymore. But Palantir does look pretty good. Get to VWAP, maybe consolidate after this break. And if the market rallies, you've got a stock which is already green and already relatively strong. So shout out to Fluffy Hippo.
Yeah, Fluffy Hippo definitely pointing out Some interesting price action. Yeah, that triple top looking quite enticing. We've held that base as well, whereas that 29 and a halves as well. So looking pretty decent. It's building up, right? And then that's VWAP on your screen as well, right? So we're holding VWAP, confluence with a whole dollar mark at 30 as well, and we're attempting to push back up. And yeah, no, I guess the market is at its lows, but the market has been failing to follow through its lows, right? We had that aggressive flush off of the open, and then you kind of have a dead stop right here at this 18,450. You attempt to push below it multiple times. You attempt to push up as well through that 18.5. But take a look at this, man. We're just chopping sideways right now, so nothing too crazy is moving, but we are holding a little bit of support here. Let's see if that support gives away. I'm curious to know, Neil, going into the end of the week, will the NASDAQ close above or below that 18.5? And I see you reaching for it already.
This time I'm not going to shake while I'm asking the question, because I screwed that up last time.
All right.
Will the NASDAQ close today above 18.5?
What does that say?
Oh, it's upside down. Give me a second.
Oh.
More sure than anchored VWAP.
Whoa, okay, all right.
So I mean, I guess that's a yes.
Apparently that's a yes.
More short, so we're going to close above 18.5 according to the Magic 8 Ball. Remember, that's just a specialty Magic 8 Ball. Shout out to Mr. Westermeyer, one of our fantastic viewers who gifted us. Actually, both of them. We had an older one. I have no idea where it is now.
It's right there on the other side.
Oh yeah, it's on the other. It's on the midday desk. Yeah. So Palantir's pulling back. I'm going to look for VWAP. It actually looks like a good setup. Like, show me a stock that's strong, and I'd rather play. If you're playing range bound in the afternoon. One order, not two. If you're playing range bound in the afternoon, then I'd rather be buying dips on a strong stock or relatively strong stock than trying to catch a bottom. The reason I pivoted from GameStop, I mean, it doesn't look bad yet. It's not like it's bouncing off VWAP, but it's not really breaking the next level out and breaking this downward trend. You're just not getting a heck of a lot out of it. I also took a little bit more out of Intel as the market was making a bit of a bounce, but you're starting to look a little bit better. I mean, that Nvidia of yours, it is looking better. I just rather find something which is a little bit strong.
Yeah, I guess
Palantir definitely fits this bill. I'd rather lose on a strong stock long.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely fair. I'm doing a bit of a scan here, looking at all the well, not all the chips, but some of the chips that I do have kind of on watch, along with the TQs. Interestingly enough, Nvidia is holding, like, that dip into that 195 level right now is a bunch of anchored VWAPs from the past that are just hovering above that 100 mark. So I have here, what is that? Was it 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 anchored VWAPs? Some of them might be from earnings, some of them might be from significant events from the past as well. Again, confluence with volume, but that 101 area holding on top of those as well. Rivian Millionaire talking about Goog with an L. So let's take a look at this goggle here as well. So let me pull up some of these Mag 7s here. Mag 7s, yeah, pretty much looking very similar to the ES and NQ. ES and NQ. So yeah, so a little bit of a bid coming in on that Google as of right now. So I just got to pull up that read real quick.
That's okay, because, Obi, now you're going to want to pay attention to this. Everyone out there is going to want to pay attention to this, because this is a true game changer for stock traders.
Yeah, you can get funds to trade stocks and don't even have to be a professional trader. Anyone can join.
You better believe it. Trade the Pool is a prop firm that funds stock traders worldwide. No more risking your own money. No more PDT rule. You can even have a funded account of up to $260,000, Obi.
Yeah, you can trade real shares, and you don't have to trade alone. You can short any penny stocks. You can trade with other traders in Trade the Pool community on Discord. So search for tradethepool.com, and you'll find all the information you need. I wish there was something like that when I started trading. It's amazing. Definitely a little bit of a community, a little bit of a Discord group can go a long way, especially when you're starting off with trading. So any sort of community to kind of gauge the scene, I would say, is definitely a good place to begin.
No questions asked. And truthfully, every single time we talk about this, you know, it's really important to understand that trading is not easy. It's never been easy. I had this conversation with a trader, and we were sort of just talking strategy and developing, which is always great. It's always fun to be able to do that one-to-one. It's fun to do it with you guys, but it's fun to do it one-to-one sometimes, which we don't get a chance to do as much when we do the show. But one of the things we talked about, just giving an offhand comment, I wish I had been a trader this time, or like 10 years ago. And everyone always used to say that. I remember after 2008, traders would come in and say, oh man, I wish I had started and got to trade the financial crisis, or I got to trade that market. And I actually said to them, there's maybe 4 or 5 moments on the floor in my 20 years. There's about 4 or 5 periods under which pretty much everybody doing a certain strategy that had half a brain was making money, and they'd only last for a few months. So it happened. I mean, it happened back after the dot-com bubble burst. There was a couple of months where like everyone doing something would make money. 2008, it was really easy to make money momentum trading, and so everyone touching it was pretty good. There was when Fannie and Freddie had their big crisis, trading those was kind of free money in the moment. A few years back, marijuana for like 3 months at the end of the year was every single person on the floor dropped what they were doing to trade marijuana stocks every single day. Like those types of things are there, but the actual nitty-gritty of trading is always challenging. There's no such thing as sustained free money. Even 2020 in the pandemic, like there were lots of great opportunities, but you can't just sit there and say this era I would have just printed. No, you always have to put that work in. You always want to have a community behind you. You always want to have someone to run ideas past that keeps you in check, you know? And you always want to have someone like Fluffy Panda giving us ideas. So I decided, okay, so I was gonna buy VWAP in here, and then something different happened. So it ended up wicking the previous low, we'll see it here, and then holding a higher low. So I entered here at the quarters, technically 24s I got to fill, that I'll just give to this local bottom here, about 10 cents worth of risk on Palantir to play into this 30-40, which is about 15 cents higher. But it lets me get some out at 1-to-1, which I can sit on the offer in case it wants to make that move here into this range. And if it makes the break, great. I'm going to stop out there and then get to VWAP. If it gets to VWAP, fine. Like I'm going to get VWAP if we can. I'll get out and be willing to re-enter at VWAP. That's the best way of thinking about it. It's not that I'm not abandoning a VWAP dip, but if it's going to break this top and consolidate higher, then I want to join the move. The market's not doing anything, and this is a strong name. So it is what it is. And I like this one, L87P. Buy low, sell high.
Okay.
Now, I'm not making this up. The very first day when I was a trainee for the prop floor, and this is like 20-something years ago. The very first day, we're doing classroom for like 3 days before we even got onto the trading floor. And the very first day, the owner of the company comes in and he says, everybody wants to buy low and sell high. If you want to be an active day trader, you better get accustomed to sometimes buying high and selling higher.
Yes.
And what he meant by that was if the trend is up and you only want to buy low, sell high, you're not going to make any trades. And if the stock is just only going up, you got to be able to join. So this is an example of that. Like, yeah, ideally I'd like to be long at VWAP, but I'm not in it. Fluffy Panda's in it, probably. And then I'm going to buy in here and give it to that. And if it continues its upward trend, if you had done that since the big bottom, higher low, maybe you're taking this long into VWAP, who knows? But you have all kinds of opportunities where you can buy not at the low and sell higher. So you got to be willing to do some different things when you're trading. I think joining the trend is the most simplistic thing. Because if you lose, well, if it's trending up all day long, that means most of the entries have been good. So the odds are forever in your favor. Let's go to Adair.
Oh, this part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. If you feel lost in the noise of the market, then you need Benzinga Pro. Benzinga Pro cuts through the clutter and gives you the insights you need to make smarter, faster trades. From real-time news to unusual options activity, we'll show you exactly what's moving the market and why. Don't miss out on your chance to trade like a pro. Visit benzinga.com/pro to start your free trial today.
That's okay. First of all, thank you very much, Adair. That's my bad, Fluffy Hippo. I think I did it like 2 or 3 times, and nobody corrected me until just now. It's Fluffy. I said Fluffy Panda.
Fluffy Panda.
And I don't know why I had Panda in
from?
my head. Why would I have the Panda?
Fluffy Panda.
I don't know. I have no idea why I had Panda in my head, but it's Fluffy Hippo in the chat.
Panda.
So, well, I know I got it right once or twice, but thank you very much. I never mean to get a name wrong. The chat flies really, really quickly sometimes, or like like Obi will be talking, and I get to it, and I have to scroll to find it again. Shout out to A. Davis in the chat. While I'm waiting on Palantir to do something more than move 2 or 3 cents, my guys used to tell me, if you want to have longevity in the market, you better be able to short the market, or the market will let you off at the next stop. I think that's true. It's very difficult to be a single direction trader. That said, there's usually always something going up in a given day. It's challenging. And like, I'll take you back to, like back in 2008. Well, I mean, like back in the financial crisis, if you were uncomfortable shorting stocks, like the Greek credit crunch, like if you didn't want to short stocks, well, I have no idea what you were doing on those days. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the best moves in 2008 were off of these ridiculous bottoms, where essentially you would just have market makers decide and make it very obvious, oh, we're buying Citigroup at this level. And it would be an even dollar level. And you would literally just punch like 1 or 2 cents above it. And you just see the millions of shares on the bid every now and then. It would happen like once a week. And you just go long in front of it. And you'd get like this 2 cent risk trade that would go 10 or 15. It was just easy peasy. Like anybody could do that. But that doesn't happen all the time. Like you had to be shorting most of the time in 08. And I'm not saying you can only go short or only go long. You find what works for you. But ultimately, you have to be flexible. You can't be married to only one way of doing things. It's a good way to get yourself into trouble. So come on, Palantir. You know what you're supposed to do, which is go a couple more pennies in here to get me my first exit. Good thing we got some more out of Intel, because that's starting to creep back to the upside. I'm making the assumption that Nvidia is looking good.
Yeah, Nvidia's pulling up into that 103 here. I guess, again, position board not updated. Again, just taking trades in the demo right now to put in those good reps. But again, had a little bit of a long on top of that 102, stop out right below, get back in on the reclaim. A little bit of a sideways hold. I like this hold on the NASDAQ. Let's see if we can get through that 18.5. A little bit of a support showing up after a strong day of selling. I like that. I guess my average right now is 102.20s. But we're pushing into that 103 right now. No real size showing up at that 103, but that prior high right here, 103.25, just above that 103.25. Let's see if the NASDAQ gets above that 18.5. Again, the magic 8-ball has spoken. It said more sure than anchored VWAP, right? That's what it was.
And you love anchored VWAP.
I do like anchored VWAP. Again, little showing us again. Shout out to Brian Shannon, showing us where some potential participants may be sitting as well, right? So it gives a nice little perspective. And I don't know if it's too short, but it's a good place, I think, to look at. And that 18.5 is definitely a good. Well, I think it's a good look there, as we're holding in and around that area, just 50 points below 18,450. Holding as a bit of a base. We attempted to push down a little bit lower, but again, after almost a 500-point flush off of those highs in the morning session right there, we have held 500 points lower. So let's see if anything else is really curling here. Again, Nvidia might be really the only one that's looking like it's attempting to curl, but still a little sideways as of right now. Looking at some of these other chip stocks, everything looks relatively the same there, Neil. Everything got crushed in the morning session, and now we're just pretty much consolidating sideways for multiple hours. Oh boy, and Tesla is still continuing to the downside.
Tesla is a dog.
Tesla's continuing to go. There is not one.
Even Apple looks really weak right now.
Higher time frame. Here, I guess let's go to 30-minute. There's not too many green candles here, even on the 30-minute chart. Straight to the downside. I got a lot of lines on there, but kind of clean that up. That 235 definitely a little distinct there. We're pulling into some of these levels from earlier on in the week. Aggressive selling to the downside. The short was definitely the way to go today. And yeah. Let us know in the chat. Have you guys been shorting anything off the open, or did you guys short anything off of the open? Did you take some of those range breaks? We talk about kind of ranges when they break out or break down could start trending, and a lot of things. I guess not necessarily a lot of things, but the thing that did distinctly do that was Nvidia back through that 104 down into 101s there. So yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys are looking at.
Well, that's a challenge.
Freddie, the friendly guy, is saying, come on, man, seriously, look at the 3-month and the 6-month on the Qs and Nvidia. The gravity is tremendous. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Let me show you my Nvidia chart on a higher time frame. I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to that. But the thing is, I gotta do better at respecting myself and respecting the charts as well. Take a look at this. One day, actually, no, you know what? We'll go to, I like the 3-hour. It's much cleaner because it also captures some of that pre-market after hours action that does kind of include some of those pre-market events. You have economic numbers that come out at 8:30. You have news events that sometimes come out in the pre-market or after hours that bring in volume. You have earnings that also come out in the pre-market and after hours. So I do like to capture all of that information, and that hence why I don't just like to use the daily charts. I want some of that information as well on my chart. So taking a 3-hour or like an hourly as well, I do like, and take a look at that. Oh boy, yeah, a lot of lines there, but trend, multi-time frame trend resistance here, higher time frame trend resistance from all-time highs coming in. We attempt to push those. And yes, sir, Freddie, the friendly guy, the gravity is definitely immense. We attempt to push that. A little bit of a consolidation breakdown. Now, these are some anchors. That's the anchored from August 5th. We broke that on Tuesday, right? So we broke that, anchored on Tuesday. So that's definitely interesting. And now we're coming into some of those levels here. A little bit of trend resistance that did break initially, and we're coming right off of that as well. So a little bit of confluence happening there as well. But yeah, bigger picture, we are kind of rejecting some of these highs. We've been making lower highs there. We attempted to push and we couldn't really make it, and we flush all the way from 130s off of a 130 failure to follow through down to 100. So yeah, definitely a lot of gravity to this situation when it comes to chips. And yeah, Nvidia is definitely a chip with the dip over the past, I guess, how many days is this since we actually kind of broke down? It's been about 9 to 10 days since that has happened. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, so yeah,
it's
shout
power
out
hour
to
now.
Freddie the friendly guy. Thank you.
Freddie the friendly guy. There was a question in the chat, and it was like, can you find a time frame under which Coinbase chart looks good? And I'm going to save you. So while Obi was talking, I checked. My answer is no. I actually couldn't find a time frame under which I thought the chart looked good for Coinbase. So I'll save you going through all of them, and just the answer was no. If you were curious about that, it looked bad on every time frame I checked, like every single one. Like it didn't matter. And that should say something if you're not willing to short stocks. Palantir just tagged the 30s, so it is still going into the upside. And this is how it always works. So Palantir, consolidation, break higher a little bit here. And the stock that I didn't play, GameStop, also wants to start breaking out. But it hasn't broken this top. But what it has done is a hold of VWAP and the consolidation above. This is, it's eerily identical setups in stocks that are relatively strong. Now, it's not doing a ton of volume here. I'll grant you that on GameStop. But it did break out of this little consolidation, call it 23.5. This is more like 58, and it's trying to hold this. I just need it to show a little bit more strength. It's on the back end. If it can show some strength over 60, it's a very similar setup to what we just took over there in Palantir. So again, a relatively strong name. Just want to see a little bit more out of it here in GME. And I never looked at, I know I was surprised, and I said, oh, AMC's up today. Well, I should have just realized it would just go up at the moment that GameStop went up. And the reason why GameStop, not AMC, is it's doing a little bit better volume. It's a bit better of a breakout. AMC can't break $5, and yeah, AMC can't break $5. That's sort of the problem with AMC. I don't mind squeeze names if they're breaking something out and are strong. And if you look at this stock, it's easy to say. Until it breaks $5, you need to have it at lows off the bottoms. When it's close to $5, you want to wait for it to see if it can hold above $5. And that's the story with AMC. Don't mind trading anything, but GameStop has been doing things the last few weeks, whereas AMC is doing nothing till it breaks 5, in my opinion. So yeah, GameStop's starting to find some weakness in here. Needed holding this $23.50 level for that similar setup, or you got to wait until VWAP there. Hey Davis, GME is called Jimmy. That's what we try to call it. Jeremy Newman, is it actually going to be an hour of power? Can't make the markets move. I'd like it to be so. I mean, I just watched a few things spike. I mean, there's a move in IBIT, so Bitcoin started to make a move. You got Nvidia at VWAP, which is going to bring me right back to Micron. What's Micron doing? Yeah, Micron's trying to go. Right, Micron, remember I said I kind of like this one given where it was on the daily chart? Well, you've got VWAP, you've got this test here, and then you have about 86.80. Like if this can break out, get above this 86.75, the 86.80 level, but show me that you're breaking VWAP at least. Otherwise, you know, that's not enough for me. Relatively weak names, Apple. That's still weak, but I'm past looking for the shorts. I want to try something reverse to the long side. Micron's not there yet. I hate coming back into GME, but it's the one holding some higher lows, and we're already in Palantir. Did we miss a super chat? We might have missed
The Western. Yeah. Perhaps? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we did get one.
Wind.
That's my bad, Mr. Westermeyer. Thank you very much. WINT, 275, buy and forget.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I'd never consider buy and forget on any small cap runner because I think that's how bag holders are created in a general sense. We've all done it before. There's nothing incredibly wrong
Buy
about
and forget, sell and forget.
this is really not doing any. What the heck is with the volume on this thing? Why are we even looking? It's done 100,000 shares of volume today, 160,000 shares worth of volume. You're looking at this low right here. Okay, so fine. Post split, bottom 275, 275. It's at 275. If by buy and forget, you simply mean buy and give it 5 cents and then hope it squeezes, I mean, crazier things have happened. Yeah, I'd never want to own things like this. Like, look at the chart. It doesn't even have a green day. What you can usually do with these is, well, if it's going to hold 275, then let it hold 275 and break it back out at like 330 or somewhere in here. Like, break it back out at 330. Actually give it 25 points of risk, and then if it doubles up, you have a reasonable risk to reward, and you're catching it on the other end. But I never want to catch a falling sword. Like these stocks, they reverse split, they come back, they break the low, they go back to penny stock, they reverse split, blah, and then rinse and repeat over and over again. I think usually I want to get them on an upswing, if possible.
Yeah, also like that thing's been doing pretty much no volume on the day. I think that's, like you pointed out, that's definitely something to remember, something to consider. And yeah, sure, it did some volume a couple days ago, bringing that attention to the name. But take a look at this. We gave up pretty much that whole move, and then some. A kind of a slow bleed happening there on WINT. But yeah, Fabian with a dope pun coming out. He was saying the volume on the volume on this ticker definitely went because it's definitely not there anymore, and it definitely went away. I like that one. But yeah.
Do you though?
No, it's good.
Really?
It's good. I guess it was better when
not just being nice
in my ear, perhaps. But yeah, no, I don't know too much about that one. And I think Neil's definitely right. A lot of these tickers, smaller market cap, they tend to be like repeat offenders. You look back at the chart, it's probably done more of the same over and over and over again. Take a look at that. I just
like
need to pull up the weekly right there. And oh boy, you can see that this ticker, yeah, I'm pretty sure Wint was not. Oh, okay, we can keep going.
What just happened?
We can keep going. I'm pretty sure that Wint was not a $7 million, $10 million. Oh, we keep going. 20 mil, 40, 50 mil. Oh boy. The high, oh. Wait,
is that even real?
So the high of Wint is at $157 million. So are we going to play the reversion on this one, Neil? It's trading at $2.83. I could make a fortune.
That's worse than Camber Energy. I always
talk about a back-to-back split fest. Yeah,
I thought
definitely
CEI,
a repeat offender.
No, I thought CEI was the worst stock in the history of the market, or like that,
CEI
or Mullen.
Camber is definitely one of them.
Camber is one of them. Yeah. CEI, but wow, WINT. I had no idea. That is that's putrid. Yep. It really is. That's not to harp on it, but I mean,
you can think about it the other way as well. What a beautiful swing short.
I mean, if you're
talking about like long-term swings and your fees are like low on the borrows, you just wait for it to go to zero, right? And you're short from what? 150 million? That's wild. That's wild.
And that, everybody, is why hedge funds make a lot of money. because when
Really
people are
that revolve around swing shorts.
yeah, that's and believe me, they'll just sit on that thing and short every single pop, and like that's their entire. There's probably a firm somewhere that like 90% of everything they made was shorting WINT.
Yeah.
Over the last over years, seriously. And then that's how the GameStop thing happened, because it's the same thing. Like you make a bunch of money always shorting them pops, and they actually got squoze, and they finally lost one. But then for every GameStop, there's like a million other, or 100 other small cap penny stocks that have been leaned on. And what's crazy about it is you could always see when they release the offer, when it tries to regain compliance and wait for it to pop the dollar. I used to trade penny stocks. Those were the best days to be long. And you'd see it happen. Like the market makers that would be there regularly holding resistance levels, like when it would start making the rally to $1, when you're getting in that last 30 days where you got to get compliance, someone's trying to get it to the dollar level, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we'll just let it break the dollar, and then everyone's going to be trapped when it breaks out, then they start shorting it again. And you'd be long those couple of days when they're trying to run it to the dollar. That's old school stuff. It doesn't really work that way anymore. It's never that obvious. Outside of the one time Mullen needed to hold the dollar for like 9 days in a row or some nonsense. And then it was very obviously somebody was buying it into the close, and you could just kind of, if you saw the big bid, you just buy in the last 15 minutes and see if they could get it to the dollar for the close. This is me trying to get into GameStop. I didn't. It's trying to go up. It might just break out this top. I don't want to take a break. I do want to play a dip buy if I can. So I'm still sitting on the bid here in the 60s to try and pick it up here. This is going, the market's going. Palantir just tagged 40, so we're able to get that. We're ringing a little register there. You just got to be patient and maybe even have a fluffy hippo whisper in your ear that Palantir is doing some things. Yeah. One of those two things will be good for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Neil, on the big bids. I love big bids, and I cannot lie. That is definitely, I'm pretty sure other brothers cannot deny. But somebody in the chat, I'm forgetting who it was, right here tagged me. I think NYC Urbanista saying, take a look at Wheeler. WHLR. So I did pull up the weekly on this one. Now I know this one's been having some significant volume as of late, but we're seeing a similar kind of story here, right? This is definitely like, I don't think I would take, now this is just my personal opinion, right? This ticker, I'm pretty sure was not $38,000. It's just proof that they've been splitting back to back over and over again since 2012. Right? So it is definitely a repeat offender. If it's done it once, it'll do it again, and it has been doing more of the same, just back to back, just flush right here. So yeah, okay, you go down to the shorter time frame, and then yeah, it looks spicy as of recent over the past couple of days, but more, I don't know. Let's take a look at Wheeler again in a couple of weeks and see where it's at then, right? More likely than not, if it hasn't dissipated, if the bid hasn't really broken down, more than likely going to be back where we started on this one when kind of eyes are definitely off of this ticker, and that's when that swing short strategy definitely comes into fruition there on some of these smaller caps. Now again, market cap 2.35 million, Neil. So yeah, anybody with a little bit of a pocket change can come in to this ticker, corner the float, manipulate prices.
How much do we need?
2.35 million.
Oh. I got $4.
$4.
That going to do it?
That's
this is actually more than $4 though, because this is American money.
Yes.
So like here, this is a toonie.
That's a toonie.
But the
toonie is Ramines.
Oh, the toonie is Ramines. Yeah. Wow, you're very particular about this toonie. That's right. Okay.
So I guess we only have $2 then.
We only have $2, but that's more than $2. That's U.S. money.
Well, here's the thing: we need at least $2. So we're somewhere. We're almost there. Just need 2.34XX million.
Uh-oh, the market's turning again.
Keep going. But yeah, a little bit of a pullback here coming into that 103 on the Nvidia as well. So I got to keep an eye on that one there. This 18.5 test, right? That we were talking about that 18.5 being a little bit interesting. Let's see if there's any follow through on the bid back up. Softy catching a little bit of a bid as well. Apple, slight little bid to the upside here, printing 220.80s as of right now. Any of the chips turning right now? Nothing really. TQ still a little bit sideways, as you can see on the NASDAQ here. Haven't really broken past that. ARM catching a little bit of a bid. 114.91 is the day low. Intel, Neil, is all
just got back to 19.
Much back to 19. So I see that you are reloaded on that one there.
I don't have that key.
Yeah,
I don't have the reloaded key.
I don't have it either.
I need that one. Get me the reloaded key. I just realized I don't. Sure, I'll hit like, awesome.
Yes.
But I don't know if it is yet because I just reloaded it. So it could actually be bad. I have no idea. But Intel just got right back into resistance. So it's just above 19. Like this local high is technically 1905, and then this resistance was 1907. But I am back into it. If it pops down underneath VWAP, we'll look to take some out underneath VWAP. Apple, I was saying Apple's weak under my breath. I'm going to quickly do this for you. Here's Apple. Like you can sort of see since that wick. And the reason I'm doing this wick here is at 11 o'clock when everything spiked, and I'm talking about everything spiked for a good couple of minutes, and it looked like a big reversal play. This was the top of that range, and then this was a lower high. Now it's done this a couple of times. Apple breaks this trend, play long into VWAP is generally what I would want to do. So Intel was a new one. I did just get picked up in GME. Looks over. How much do I like that? There is no way I'm adding to that. My stop is already underneath 55. That's a bit of a hammer down where we just got in. So GameStop, very similar setup to Palantir, which already worked. At this point, can't lose money on it. Gonna leave the stop in. I haven't really moved my stop. Actually, no, that's not true. When I got the second fill and it got up to this level, then I moved my stop underneath here, which would be about break even. So we go under that. Uh-oh, I don't want to use sticky keys. So if we go under that break even, I'm out, and that's when it tagged this resistance from earlier. So I am out of Palantir for no worse than flat on the last third, and GameStop is the new position to the long side after getting an Intel short. Hey, maybe this is the time Intel breaks out. I have no idea. GameStop 24 even looks like a little bit of a resistance spot, so I'm just going to pop on the offer just above 90 where it turned the last couple times, see if we can't catch a fill. And L87P, Coinbase does look brutal. It absolutely does. I concur with you. You just said that in the chat, and I have to agree 100%. Like I said, every single time frame I looked at the Coinbase chart, the 3-minute, the daily looks bad, the 15-minute looks bad, the weekly chart looks bad. I can pull up a monthly chart, but it doesn't look much better. I mean, the weekly chart could be worse. Actually, the weekly chart could be. It's not that bad, but then it just broke support on the weekly, and it's Friday, so you're going to close underneath support on the weekly side. It does look terrible. Every time frame, it's just a bad-looking chart, which is why
dropping it down.
Not a huge fan of it. It's just dropping. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all for coin. Right, I should be on the other side of 90. I'm on the wrong side.
We're holding above that 18.5 right now, so I'm kind of I got eyes on. Again, it's 3:17. We only have about 43 minutes left until the closing bell here, and yeah, let's see if we close above or below that 18.5. A little bit of a flush coming into the end of the week, and now the question becomes: are we going to continue this going into the coming weeks? Right? Nvidia 100, pretty key, I think. Key in my opinion. It might not be for others, but yeah, let's see what Nvidia does in and around that 100 mark. I do want to point out that August 5th low right here, daily low. That was 90.69 on Nvidia, and yeah, we are kind of headed in that direction on the weekly. Take a look at this gap down, a little bit of a doji indecision happening at that 120. Again, 130 failure to follow through, and then a strong quadrunk. We're down about 13.67% on the week here on Nvidia, Neil. So yeah, we were talking about a couple of days ago. What was it the largest market cap loss in history, right? Yep. On Nvidia, but take a look at this. This bar is I guess a little bit smaller than this bar. So just literally a couple of weeks ago, before that, it was August 12th right there. We have one of the strongest days as well, right? And I guess you hear this often. Some of the strongest days or some of the weakest days are usually followed by some of the strongest and weakest days within again, maybe not right the day after, but within a reasonable range of time.
Well, that's the problem with Nvidia. Like that was one of the first things that we were talking about. Like, how is it that you almost never see something like that, where it's that bad of a day, where that much value is wiped out, and then you get essentially the relief rally that everyone was anticipating. It's like, oh, what are you thinking? At the end of the day, on the 3rd, we were basically all saying, well, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? Nvidia is going to go up. And That's what everybody was saying. Nvidia's going to go up. And it went up. And then it did not hold on to the gains. It came right back to the lows. That's bearish sentiment. So, I mean, I look at this and it's like, yeah, that's annoying. Thankfully, at least we got out of every long and managed to come out of it not too bad. It should have been a heck of a lot better, but that's bearish, 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 as far as I'm concerned. You want to hold on to those gains. When you get a relief rally or dead cat bounce, the whole idea is it's supposed to keep on bouncing, or at least hold some of those gains, because the shorts have taken their short-term profit, and the longs feel confident that you're not going to retest those lows, so they want to hold it for a little bit of a weekly swing or at least a couple of days. And the chips are still bleeding, man. I don't like it at all. GameStop goes right into 23, like 90-ish, to print the mid-80s, and can't seem to break out 24. Now, the good news for GameStop, I think if it takes out 24, we get a retest of the highs. The bad news is it's already 320, so I do think it's going to have trouble with the way the volume is going to break out the highs. Probably not worth reloading this late. Like, look at the vol. It's trying to get there, but you need a little bit better than that to make it rally. And we're not seeing enough just yet. So I'd like it to go, but then I look at what happened in Palantir, which was strong. Like, it was able to get up to that 40 level, you get a couple pieces, and then immediately starting to pull back. Nice consolidation, but you're just not getting a big flash to the upside. It's like a nice grind to the upside, as opposed to, flying all over the place. Tisha Perkins used to be the king of small caps, somehow never trades them anymore. Everything comes in cycles. Things sort of change. Like, back when we started and came to YouTube, it was like this was January during COVID. And for like a good year, you'd have these runners like all over the place. Like, usually you'd come in the morning, and the best thing to trade was some kind of a meme stock or a low float runner. And it was like that for a while. And then sentiment changed, and it just wasn't true anymore. And then the AI craze happened, and things shift. So don't get me wrong. Like, I'm
in the chips.
Yeah, you trade whatever is out there.
Yeah,
like,
what's moving, what has volume.
Put capital towards things that are actually making you money. And sometimes it's different one day to the next. Sometimes it's the same for a few months, and then you might shift. When I started trading, when I was a trainee, they put us on a group of stocks, tech stocks, and then eventually like small cap stocks. And then when I graduated, I chose penny stocks after that because it actually just made money for me. And you flip around from back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's got to make sense to you. There's always going to be a time. And it doesn't mean that small caps aren't still good. Like, look at that Wheeler the last few days. I don't know. Is it, what was it? Is WHLR? Is that what it is? WHLR.
LR, yeah.
Is that right? Wheeler.
Yep.
Like, this stock, I mean, I haven't traded it. I know Sharif was looking at this. I think he was in it a few times the last couple of days. But it's been good. A little choppy, but it's been pretty good. I'd say yesterday was much more clean, because the way I would try to trade it, at least like yesterday, you could have had this nice little VWAP breakout trade, and then you would have had like the breakout of the highs late. But today, this is a chop fest. Like, I don't have many quality strategies for trading this, because I'd have probably been long in here. That's not doing much relative to your risk. I guess maybe you could be long in here. I could have had this long, but then I'd be out of it when that broke. Yeah, it just looked pretty nasty there. I didn't catch that, Fabian.
Ooh, he found a screenshot of the first stream.
Like, our very first stream ever? No way.
Yeah, let's see that. Okay, all right, that's dope. What?
For a second, I actually thought you were serious and you had a real. That would have been really cool. Like, we used to keep. We had video of before we were even on YouTube. There's actual video when we were doing it internally just for the other offices here.
Those, yeah.
And it was different. It was different. I'll give it that. The quality was a little bit different. And I'd like to say I was awful. Horrible. I mean, I'm not that good now, but I was horrible. I had no idea what to say half the time. Like, we have to talk this long. It was just an absolute mess. You get used to it after a while. Obviously, that's not an accurate description of what we looked like before. I would never wear that ugly of a suit.
Yeah.
Like, look how horrible that is.
I mean, no, that's not.
I got more sense than that. How come look at Brendan. Can we go back to that for a second? Like, Brendan's just sort of chilling out there. Like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. You can put the heads on, they're going to look kind of good. Sean's making trades. That's what he's doing. It makes some sense. Brendan looks like he's going to a cocktail party.
My order right here.
No, like, why does Brendan look like he's going to a cocktail party? Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
He's like,
That's true OG.
I mean, you guys were bidding on Long Island iced tea, right? At that time.
Yes, greatest company in the world.
Let's go. All right.
That was what an absolute scam that was. That was terrible.
Yeah, East Dutch India Company. I don't know. Do they still trade? I don't know if they ever.
Who?
East Dutch India.
You know what? I have no idea. Matt Carnes wants to know about MCRB. Sure, Matt. GameStop. Just very quickly, I'm going to rehash here. I pulled my reload bid on GameStop. Volume is not good, and it feels like it doesn't want to go to the next station. So I'll let it try to break out for any kind of a re-entry there. But it was MCRB. MCRB. No, maybe that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Let me try to find it again. It was Matt Carnes. Matt, I'll try to find it. I'm trying to find your message, but I'm not seeing it. Maybe just type it again, because I don't know if I got that symbol right. So put it in there again, and I'll have a look at it. But I did miss that symbol. Oh, goodness. Woo, guys, AI is the future. Nvidia back to 1,000. Why not?
USD.
Why not? Eventually, one day. Not today.
Yeah.
Definitely not today.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I'm sure markets will eventually reclaim their all-time highs. Again, you look back at the charts. Markets apparently stonks only go up, right, Neil? And I always talk about this. The S&P is almost rigged to have. Well, if you want to call it rigged, it's like it kind of kicks out the worst performers and it puts in the better performers, and it sustains the best performing kind of company. So you can almost use it as a bit of an indicator of, I would say, maybe economic progress, perhaps, maybe, when it comes to certain fields and certain businesses and stuff. But I don't know. We just kind of a tinfoil hat, tinfoil suit type of theory there, maybe, perhaps. 103 is holding as we bid above that 18.5 on the NASDAQ. So we're attempting to push a little bit higher going into the last half hour. We only have about 34 minutes until the closing bell. Where is the next trade? What are you guys in? What are you guys trading? I know people were talking about Google. People are still talking about Google. Ian in the chat talking about Google as well. Oscar, almost power hour. Buddy, we are in power hour right now. 26 minutes into power hour. So let's see what that goggle is up to. Oh boy, Google is relatively weak, Neil. It has not bounced significantly at all, while some of these other tickers are attempting to bounce back towards their VWAP. Now I can tell right away, even without pulling this VWAP up, how far extended we are off of VWAP. So VWAP all the way at 153.15, and we're trading at 151.76 right now. So let's see if that kind of curls up. A little bit of a top there. Range highs at 152 on Google there. So let's see if that comes in with this bid coming into the market. What is going on, Adara?
I actually just got a bit of a update here from the Google antitrust situation, though there's not really much of a reaction here in the markets as of right now. CNBC saying that the judge has asked for the Department of Justice's proposal in the Google antitrust case by the end of the year. The decision is apparently likely speculated to take place by August 2025. So it'll be about a year until we get that decision. Also, as of this morning, too, we did have that update with Google and the CMA, so some of the British antitrust organizations. So GOOGL, some more antitrust concerns, though these ones will not be resolved in the U.S. until roughly August 2025, guys.
Okay. Ooh, okay. I mean, it's going to take these always take some time. So you get to wait a full year for that. That's fine. So we are breaking out a little bit here. I did say I like Micron a bit earlier, and it's taking a long time to do the same setup that everything else is. Hold VWAP, consolidate above VWAP, break out of consolidation, dip back into prior low. So there it is. Now, if it holds on to VWAP, great. But if it can't hold on to like the prior bar high, or I guess in this case low, then I'm going to jump out of it. The market is trying to get to the upside right now, but just understand it's not a huge move up in the context of where we went, but it is going to be a retest of like 18.56 on the NASDAQ. So when we get to that point, 20, 30 handles from now, I would be at least a little bit cautious with holding out, and we still have only 30 minutes to go. So you have to have like station to station type levels with only 30 minutes to go, 20 minutes till the imbalances. I'm looking at these quarters above 87 for Micron specifically. If I can get some out there, then I'm just going to pop on the offer. Palantir's still not really doing a heck of a lot more. Like, it just tried to break the highs again. Yeah, if it can't go, I'm going to tighten this stop up again on Palantir. Tried to break out again above 30.40, just not doing. I feel like this has got some room to run if it can take out that 40 level, but each time it gets up there, it just sort of rejects it. I'm going to tighten my stop on PLTR as it refuses to do what I want, which is go even more. Yeah, now Wheeler's going. Of course it is.
Yeah, maybe. I guess the good thing for those ones when they do start moving is like they will potentially trap shorts who are trying to get in on that swing short or maybe overnight short, and you get those Friday end of day squeezes. Now, if that's happening in the last half hour or even in the last 15 minutes, I've found that more like again, if we're breaking tops and the market is at its lows and we're breaking tops on a name like that, which is clearly disconnected, there might be some other pressure to that buying, and that pressure kind of being a little bit of, I guess, maybe intraday shorts or short-term swing shorts as well on a name like this. Now, again, we talk about what is the probability of the ticker kind of pulling back in and reverting in the next couple of weeks.
One chance in 3. Micron just came out, so that ain't going. The market's, by the way, the market's pulling back a little bit here. Nvidia back under VWAP, Apple back under. I know because Micron failed. I'm going to get to, Fabian just mentioned he did actually find a screenshot of the first stream. I don't believe him. I think we're going to get shenanigans again, but we'll see in a second. So I did come out of Micron. It could not hold on to the consolidation. At the same moment, Intel dropped back underneath VWAP, so maybe we'll get like 85s next. Got to go station to station here. It's not going to, look, Intel's not going to move more than this 30-cent range before we get the imbalances. That's it. So every 10 cents or so, you got to take profit. All right, Fabian, where is the screenshot of the first stream?
Ooh, okay.
Okay, that's very old.
Yep.
See, I was trading, look at that. I was trading Virgin Galactic, Codex. See, I did trade those stocks all the time. Valeria, oh my goodness, there we were. Those were the shirts.
Really changed,
so we had, our producer actually wanted us to wear specifically certain types of shirts. So we had like this like uniform. Like I had these 4 or 5 colors of the same shirt, and Sean had the same as well. And I'm wearing one of mine, and he's wearing one of his there. Sean painting purple flowers in Apple. You know what I actually really love? It's too bad Sean's not here seeing this. See, see how well kept? Like, oh, he really did a job with the beard. It's like he got the good. You must have gone to Halim that day or something, looking fresh. I'm not looking all that fresh. I have less gray in my hair, though. Definitely less.
Yeah, I mean, trading has definitely, I guess, I'm losing hair as well. From my,
oh my goodness, I have way more.
Let's say.
Yeah, I have a lot more gray hair than I used to.
You know what they say? They say a lot of great traders either are going bald or they are already bald.
Now, in my defense,
that's what I've heard.
I love
rumor on the street.
Family comes first, but I started getting most of my gray from like the early lack of sleep when my daughter was born. That's when it started happening for me, and it is what it is. Like obviously sleep matters, but wow, and that's not even when we started. That's
the show, right?
It's the earliest, one of the earliest streams that you could find there for Fabian. Yes. But believe me, it was even more gangster than that. We didn't have this fancy desk. It was way more gangster than that when we first started out. Like this is still very similar to what we're doing now. Believe me. Randy has some clips. I know we can find them somewhere. Randy's always hiding stuff, but he has the goods. I'm talking before we were on YouTube when it was straight up gangster. We were doing reviews of trading books and movies in the middle of the day.
Wow.
Like it was crazy. That's it was a lot of fun. We had some fun guests too. But a couple things moving here. So GameStop is now going again. Not bad. It just broke 24. So it just made the break at 24. If we lose 24, come back underneath here. We trail out. Otherwise, I'm holding for in here. 24.30. I'm just going to pop the quarters in. It's already 3.35 in here. So go GameStop. I want you to do a little bit of this. I know that's an AMC thing. I know. It's an AMC thing. But I don't have a specific GameStop key, so we're going to hit that one instead. Matt Karn says, embrace the gray. It's a sign of sophistication. You better believe it is. You will never, ever see me color my hair. I might shave it all off, but I'm not going to color it. And I will shave it all off. It's been my go-to plan. Eventually, let's go bald. It works for MJ, it can work for me.
I like that. Yeah, no, I guess that is potentially in the stars, I guess, for me as well. But yeah, no, have you ever thought about like a hair transplant, perhaps?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm never doing that. First of all, that ain't in the cards for you, man. Like, look at your flow. In the cards for you, it's very kind of you to say that, Obi.
What do you mean?
I don't think you have those troubles, bro.
Oh.
You're good. You're good.
All right. I feel. How about that? I feel it coming. Let's say that. But yeah. Anyways, NASDAQ is holding 18 halves. As
if the man has enough flow that he can do the tail in the back. I mean, come on, son.
Yeah.
What are we even talking about here? Like, look at me. Look at you.
I hide it well. Let's say that. I hide it well.
Hide it well.
Oh boy. All right.
Hide it.
Thank you. Thanks.
I know you didn't. Come on. Come on, son.
It's there. All right. So yeah.
GameStop.
Saying stay natural. Yes. JKL 146.
Oh, natural. Natural.
Funny. Oh boy, indeed. Okay, so we are trading in and around that 18.5. Nvidia is trading a little bit higher here, 103 halves. Kind of doing a little bit of a chip chop happening at that 103 half as of right now on the Nvidia. But again, only about 25 minutes, guys. So where are we going to close today? And the magic 8 ball, it seems like it could be all up in the air, Neil. We are teetering right around that 18 half. Now, we still haven't had imbalances just yet, about 15 more minutes, 14 more minutes.
Well, we have the early look.
Imbalances. What's the early look?
Before I get to the early look, 24 lost on Palantir, so I punched out. Just really quickly. I actually had a take profit, so it's going to code as a short because I had a take profit out, so I throw another order. It's going to code as a short sell because you have to declare. But it was not. That was me covering literally at 99s when it lost the bid at 24. And good thing, too. Plan of action was to trail it. I was just putting my trailing stop in when it happened, so I just punched right out because I was on the level 2. Palantir is still looking okay, but the early look on the imbalances says BAC to buy 1.7 million. Ford to buy 1.3 million, Pfizer to buy 1.3 million. So basically all the names that we don't think are going to move on imbalances have imbalances, including Visa for $1 million, AT&T. You got a bunch of these. None of these stocks are names that I would expect to do anything if we end up having these imbalances coming out this direction. Now, usually it's like an Nvidia or like some kind of tech name. Maybe it'll be Apple that'll show up for a few million shares and you might get a bit of a move. That's what I'd be more interested in. So with that pullback in GameStop, I'm checking back in. Palantir is still doing the same thing. I mean, you haven't had too many opportunities, I think, for big runners, but there have been some good shots. I should have probably jumped out when it got to 50 here. I was waiting for a 50 break to trail it. My trail's already in there. I'm not going to necessarily change anything here on PLTR. I tried to run. Yeah, I think you just had to be patient. Like, there were a couple of really half-decent scalp long trades, but outside of that, the market wants to roll over again, and maybe we should have just stuck. Like, wow, the market just cannot catch bids, everybody.
No, it's
the NASDAQ was trying to go, and now it's just rolling right over. Couldn't get through that resistance, so you had to take the profit where you could on any of your longs. Now, that's why I was looking at things like Palantir breaking out above VWAP and relatively strong, and GameStop breaking out above VWAP and relatively strong, as opposed to trying to find a long in, I don't know, Apple. You can either take, like here, you can either sit there and try to take 40, 50 cents on Apple, or you can take 20, 30 on a stock which is a tenth of the price. I know which one I would rather do.
I think Sinful Davey in the chat asking, Obi, have you read Mastering the Trade by John Carter? I have not read that book, but it sounds interesting. I'll write it down. I'll definitely check it out. But no, I have not read that book just yet. Maybe I gotta add it to my reading list. What's your top read in terms of for trading books? I know there's
I've said it so many times. It's always the same thing.
I'm pretty sure it's
I'll see if you remember.
not Flash Boys.
It's not a trading book.
Oh, Thinking in Bets. That's yes, Thinking in Bets. Yeah.
It's all about decision making and how you evaluate your decisions. And if you want people who make high stakes decisions, like traders make high stakes decisions all the time. Who else makes high stakes decisions all the time and needs to make quality decisions based on probabilities? Poker players.
Yes.
And it was written by Annie Duke, who actually, a good friend of mine actually was at one of her book signings and got to meet her to talk about it. And he was in banking at the time. And it's like, all of the same lessons apply, whether you're a poker player, you're a trader. You can't be sitting there resulting. Like, how many times do you do something that you know was a bad trade, but then it's profitable, and you have to ask yourself, should I do that again? And the answer is no. Like, I can go all in and do 7, and I could hit on the flop, and I can laugh about it and all that kind of good stuff. But like, did you get your money in good? Answer yes. Do it again the next time. You know, did you put your guy on the right range, and therefore you played it as best as you could based on the information in front of you and the read that you had on that player and the way he was betting? Then that's what you're doing with the market. Based on the way the market is trending and this stock is going relatively strong or weak and at these levels, get the money in good. Does it work or not? Ultimately, you just need to win more times than you lose. And evaluate your decisions based on the information you had at that time and whether you think it would work over a long probability. Daniel, Trading in the Zone is good as well. There's lots of great books out there. I'm not saying it's only that one, but I always tell people to go read Thinking in Bets. And Annie Duke ain't paying me anything to say that every single time. Be nice if she would just come on the show. Anybody knows Annie Duke? Love to have a chat with her. Incredibly smart. Incredibly smart.
Yeah, and I'll have to say I have not read that book yet. I'm kind of going through slowly but steadily going through some other books. Market Wizards, I really like that series as well. Again, great kind of stories, anecdotes, and ideas of different traders along the way. Again, statistically significant traders as well from the past that have been interviewed. I like, I guess, Atomic Habits is dope as well. And was it Alpha Trader? Shout out to Brent.
Coffee Trader's got a good.
Definitely Coffee Trader.
Coffee Trader in the chat just said book you recommend for improving and getting rid of bad habits. Atomic Habits is a great one, and that's or maybe One Good Trade.
One Good Trade.
Which is like what's interesting about it is when you read it, you'll understand.
I like the.
It's not what people think. Playbook. I think the playbook is in some ways better. But
especially for like prop traders, I think it's definitely.
I think the playbook's better when you get more established. Maybe
One Good Trade is kind of like setting you up for that, and then
exactly.
You're just like,
and then you read,
you hone it in with the playbook.
No, but for One Good Trade, it's not what you think. Because One Good Trade, people always think, oh, it just means find that one best opportunity, only make one trade in the day. That's
a lot more than.
It's actually almost the opposite of that. It's find a good trade, make the good trade. Once you have it, find the next trade, make a good trade. Once you have it, and then be going to the next idea. Don't just sit on your hands on this trade. You should be looking for the next good idea at all times. At all times if you're a trader. Because you don't know which one's going to be the big one. There's no chance for you to know. Like you can take 20 setups that are all good. One of them could be fire. And the way I always look at it is, as long as you have good risk management, then you can take a bunch of paper cuts and small losses and here and there and some decent wins. And then when you get one that's good, you hold it. And then you play it out to the fullest. And that's what you're looking for. An example of that would be pretty much any short today.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much. You could technically be holding any short from the morning session and you'd still be in the money right now. So
if I had the Intel, I don't. Intel never went to 20. But like when we get to 20 short the last couple of days, you're still in that one from all day. Like today, it's different. Like there's no chance. I wouldn't still be in the original short when it busted VWAP twice. But there's certainly other trends out there. If you were short Apple in the morning, oh yeah. Like easily you could be in that one as I'm fumbling to pull up NASDAQ. Like if I was long it multiple times. Actually, it was good early. But if you were short this up here, easily you could still be in this. Like where's the trend break? Since it made the bottom, it then just formed another downtrend. So you could easily be in a portion of this, and I wouldn't argue with anybody there. And Adrian, great point, Adrian. You can make one good trade even if you lose. That's so very important. So important. I don't easily, sometimes the best trade you make is a trade that was a A+ setup for you that you took and you had the minimum loss possible. Sometimes that's the trade you're going to be the happiest about. Like when you're drinking your whatever, having fun over the weekend, however you manage to do it, everyone do their own thing. You'll be thinking about that one trade that I didn't lose that much on. Yeah. Speaking of which, I have not been trailed out of Palantir. It's back up at the highs. I'm taking it.
Holding the bid. I definitely agree with you there, Neil, on that one. And I think it's come more into realization as of late because in my daily journals, I recently started to kind of grade my trades based off of different criteria. And sometimes I notice that, like, all right, well, I got like maybe an 8 or a 9 out of 10 in the trade, but I lost on it, right? But then I look back at it, I'm like, I did everything that I was supposed to do, and it just didn't work. That was a good trade. Right? Exactly. It was a good trade. I got out when I was supposed to, and that is literally the definition. And it's like once you start really meticulously, I guess. Now again, I'm still in the process of getting better at the whole grading and then maintaining that. I guess trying to figure out what are my best trades and then going for just those 100%. Again, right?
Thank you, Green Bar, by the way.
Trades. What's up?
Someone was just asking who wrote one good trade, and
Mike Bellafiore.
Yeah, the chat was answering that question right away. I was about to get to it, but I was paying attention to Obi, and we're paying attention to Wheeler. Wheeler is now breaking $12. Tisha, tell me you're long in this one because I did take out Palantir, so we grabbed the dub on that one. We'll be happy. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but it does turn out like Wheeler gives you 10 to 12 here. I never loved those entries because I don't, like, am I really wrong here? It's a similar setup. I guess I could have had it. I don't, but thank goodness some other people are looking at this talk. I thought this was a more choppy mess, but it's really starting out to look pretty good. Just be careful. We got about 15 minutes till the end of the day, less than that. In the aftermarket going into the weekend, sometimes low float runners have good continuations in the aftermarket when they're going like this. I tend to think that doesn't apply as well on Fridays. When you still have a little bit left in the week and there's a continuation of maybe the pre-market where some people can, let's be real about it, there's people that pump these things up. So they gap up more in the pre-market than they sell it off. There's not much of that happening on a Friday, and then the over the weekend risk, of course, is going to be there as well. And I don't know if Wheeler even has options. The way it's moving, I'm not really sure it does, but again, that could be a factor. Just be careful. I know sometimes people want to hold for that extra push in the aftermarket. My experience has said it's not usually something that you want to be as involved with when it's a Friday. So good luck to anyone out there. Like, you can't be out of the money on this thing, that's for sure. Well, I mean, like, you could have bought literally right here, I suppose. Then you're out of the money. Hopefully you did.
Would you say on a Friday, more often than not, the after-hours volume kind of dies off a lot more than it does the other days of the week, for sure, right?
100%.
Yeah,
and there was the top.
Out of there, away for the weekend there. And yeah, there's a little bit of a pullback there. We're trading below that 18.5 right now. Only about a couple more minutes, 2.5 minutes there, Neil, until these imbalances come out. I'm curious to know what Nvidia will come out as. And you said the early look was a...
Well, it was a nothing burger.
Okay.
The early look is all stocks that shouldn't really move on imbalances. BAC, Pfizer, Ford, and AT&T and Verizon. Let me just double check. I mean, Intel's not moving. Now Palantir breaks 50. Of course it breaks 50 now. After I already got out of it. Intel's still not moving. Palantir really, oh my, GameStop's at the high of the day too? You've got to be kidding me.
The game is afoot.
Yeah, GameStop's right back into the highs. So that little like dipsy-do here underneath 24 that I thought was going to be a big reversal, you could have just bought the dip right back in, but I climbed out of it. Then Palantir looking like it's doing something very similar. Yeah, of course. Of course. Now Palantir goes. Palantir. Oh, the hippo wins. Fluffy hippo for the absolute victory there, because Palantir does get to 3060 after all. So we'll go with... That one's still bugging up. I know I'm not supposed to hit it. How about this one?
Flawless victory-tality.
Oh, I like that. Fatality. Nice.
The funny thing about that one...
Mortal Kombat.
No, I'm not making this up because I think Sean likes Street Fighter. I like Mortal Kombat. And when we were asking about this, and it's not Fabian and Ramin, But when we asked for that graphic, they asked, who's your favorite, like who did you use when you played Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
And I said Sub-Zero. And then they did Scorpion.
Yeah. It's the blue one. Sub-Zero's the blue one.
It's not Fabian and Remain. Not outing anybody. It wasn't Fabian.
Yeah. Who's your wait Street Fighter or
I like Mortal Kombat better, and I would always, I mean, not always use Sub-Zero, but I like Sub-Zero. Imbalances in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. All right, so let's see what we have in store here. Market doing a little bit of a bid up above that 18.5 going into the end of the day, and we are trading pretty much within the range over the past few hours, right? So the most of the momentum in the market has already dissipated after the morning session. Midday was a little bit of a sideways chop here on the NASDAQ, and then end of day as well. So both midday and end of day sessions, a little bit of sideways chop here on the markets after most of that momentum kind of dissipating in the morning session off of a reversion off of, what was it?
Whoa, Intel, that's a buy.
Oh boy, all right. So
Intel buy 3.8 million, Cisco 2.7 million to the buy side, ALIM, what is that and why is it 1.2 million? I've never heard of it. Nvidia buy 1.2 million, Marvell buy 1.1 million, Micron buy 1 million, AMD 900,000 to the buy side. So it's all buys. I don't know what the overall number is, but I'm going to guess it's to the buy side. I just don't recognize like ALIM. I wonder if there's an index action here. Anytime I see a cheap stock in there, $5, what did it do? I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Why is that symbol? There's something about that symbol that's sticking out. Like, did I read something on it? But it's not moving. So the big story is not Intel's because that's a cheap stock. I'd say Nvidia and Marvell both over $1 million. But that's not enough for me to punch long Marvell or Nvidia, either one. Like, it's just like, I want 4 or 5 million shares. I mean, you're in it already. That's a different story. But I'm not going to take it on a 1 million imbalance. We've seen 3, 4, 5, 6 million recently in Nvidia, and that's not going to cut it for me. ALIM, still curious. Something about that symbol that rings a bell.
Yeah, Neil, with only about, I guess, under 9 minutes left to go, we are trading below that 18.5, but within that same range. 103 is coming right back in here on Nvidia, so a bit of a chop fest. Hasn't really gone anywhere. And yeah, a couple milli on the inbound. Nvidia has done over 300 million shares on the day. So
I knew that stock.
It will eat that up like I guess like breakfast. It'll eat it up for breakfast there. So 102.90s coming in here on Nvidia. You say breakfast?
Of course I said. I love food. I'm out. I have no positions. I don't like any of the imbalances. I'm canceling my stop orders and all of my other orders out there. So we have a poll in here. It's kind of weird. Yeah. First, I'll answer Coffee Trader's questions. Did you play in Super Nintendo Killer Instinct? I did not. Coffee Trader. Let me know. Is it a fun game? Should I have played it? I have no idea. Are you a cat person, dog person? I love them all. I don't have any pets, but I will say, what? I know. So I can't, I'm not speaking from my own experience, but I will say this. My wife, their family had dogs. My ex, their family had dogs. All my friends usually have dogs. My roommate university had cats. And if I had to choose between like my love for my friends' pets, it was easily the dogs. Because my roommate's cat was haunted. And I love my boy, but I go to.
What does that even mean?
No, man, I go to his house and we go to visit whatever. He's my boy from university, and his cat's just always messing with me. And it's like, I don't understand. It still has claws and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why does this cat have to grind his claws on me? I don't understand what is it about me that I'm the one that has to climb and start kneading at my legs? I'm like, it's not cool at all. So that's my only reason for picking dogs over cats. I don't have either, so it is what it is.
I love them all.
You love them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Haunted.
I like animals, you know?
Haunted. Always clawing at me.
As you guys know, I have two cats, and I like cats. I like dogs as well. Again, pets are absolutely dope companions. You know, I would say a dog is probably a lot more active. You got to be more active with the dog. You got to be more responsible with the dog. Cats are just like they kind of do their own thing. They're chilling, vibing, and just kind of living life. So. And You know, you don't.
So
have
you
to-
make
don't have
cats
to say-
sound cooler though.
No, I mean the thing is they're less maintenance. They're less maintenance. Dogs are high maintenance.
Fair.
That's the thing.
Isn't that
they
part
can
of
take,
it?
Their cats are more independent. That's what I respect about them. And dogs, they need a lot more attention, but again, they're a lot more fun. So I respect that as well. So, you know, a little bit of a. I like both.
When my daughter comes
we can
asking
have
for
both.
a pet.
Why can't you have both?
Well, I mean, you
definitely
could have both. Sean had both.
Yeah.
Sean's usually always had both. Rest in peace, William. I remember, I'm not going to, their cat passed away. Sean's cat passed away. And then I remember like Sean's first dog. So Sean's away today, and his daughter had hockey, so he's at the rink being a good dad. And I remember his first, when he had his pug, this is years back.
Right.
Like he used to bring the pug in the office. And we didn't always have the trading stations wired as well, so he'd be like, his pug was like running around the floor during the day while everyone was trading. Like, is he gonna get in the wires? It was so cute. Everyone,
wires, yeah.
yeah, I mean, everyone loved him. But it's just 355 just hit. So all those buy-in balances, Nvidia just flipped to a sell, 1.5 million to the sell side. So small buy to small sell on Nvidia. Market heading back into the downside. I'm gonna have to mosey on up to the desk. We got the aftermarket show. It's going to be a fun one because we get to go over all of the nice red that we had in here today. It's not a big earnings day or anything like that. Yeah, but we do have Ryan Faluna. Ryan Faluna is going to be coming through from Benzinga, so we'll be able to chat with him. And maybe he traded that wheeler today. I'm very interested to see. But wow, acceleration to the downside on that flip. Nvidia just lost a bid when it flipped to a sell. Big move to the, well, I mean, not a big move now, but a big move on the day to the downside. Losing the bid once again. Got to acknowledge, before I get up to the desk here, I have to acknowledge just how bad it looks in Alphabet. I mean, Alphabet did not participate at all in any of the buying today. Anytime the market caught a bid, Alphabet said, we're not going anywhere. Alphabet lost the 200-period moving average today. It's down at 150 bucks. This is looking spicy. Remember when I was asked, well, Neil, what are you doing with Alphabet? Did you buy it? It does not close the week above the 200-period moving average. And if you go to the weekly chart, the other thing I was looking for was a close on the weekly above the 50-period moving average. They were both there at about the same level. Does it hold? Answer no. Not happening. But if Google gets to the 200-period on the weekly, I'm backing up the truck. Bet that. All right, Obi, I'm heading onto the desk. You take them on into the bridge or the close. I mean, the bridge is more of like a music term. You take them into the close. We'll have the market recap as usual. Ryan Faluna is going to be stopping by. Get your questions in because I'll answer pretty much anything. Apparently, we're talking about pets and dogs and cats and all that good stuff. Trading questions, all welcome. I'll see you guys in a few.
All right, thank you, Neil, again for dropping that wisdom again all day. Hopefully, you guys had a solid trading day, solid trading week as well. Again, I guess I can review. We got a couple of minutes left. I can just review a little bit of what I did today. I shorted, or not. I wish I shorted. I longed Nvidia over and over again, and that obviously did not work out. A lot of paper cuts on the way down, but holding that 18.5 as of right now is the NASDAQ there on the day. So let's see, coming into next week, are we going to have another red week? We've had back-to-back red weeks here on a lot of these tickers, and I forget who it was in the chat. I think Freddie the Friendly Guy kind of saying that look at the higher time frame on some of these tickers and look at that. The gravity is definitely there. And yeah, no, I definitely agree. Let's see if we're going to get that continuation going into I guess the end, not really the end of the month, this month, the month of September. Let's see if we get a little bit more of that red. So hopefully you guys had an awesome day. People talking about is anything about the Wheeler halt there? I guess it's halted down to the downside, right? So it's like, all right, so cool. Halting right before the close, 48. So right before the imbalances come out, Wheeler halted down apparently 1052. It's probably going to open up right before the open or sometime now, or maybe after the open. Who knows? But yeah, it's been quite a mover. Again, we talk about looking back and seeing what these tickers have done in the past and being kind of careful when you are getting involved. There's definitely opportunities. Not saying that there aren't any. There's definitely traders who are printing on some of these tickers intraday. Maybe a couple, maybe short-term swings as well. But yeah, M's on sales today. Bless you as well, Rogelio. Hopefully that's how you pronounce that. Look at Tesla like a rock. Yeah, JD. Tesla has been straight to the downside, printing lows going into the end of the day. Oh boy, that selling is coming in real hot on Tesla all the way to the downside here. Only about 40 seconds left. But yeah, no, don't go anywhere, guys. There's going to be Neil at the desk with the market recap coming in again with I think with Ryan Faluna as well. So stick around for that. Don't go anywhere. But the bell is about to ring, and hopefully you guys have a great weekend. And hopefully, you know, you do some reviews, do some trade reviews as well. That's what I'm going to be doing. And with only about 10 seconds, I got to time this properly. 49.50. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara. Again, we should be. I think we should be taking a closer look at the distinct outfits that Adara has been wearing. I think the last time she wore red, we had a blood red market as well, and we are closing near the lows today once again. So maybe some confluence to watch out for there. I definitely gotta run the stats on that one, see if there's statistical significance. But we need more sample size, right? So let's hopefully that'll come. Yeah, so, all right. So without any further ado, if they are ready for us at the desk, I'll see you guys around maybe sometime next week. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you guys have had a good opportunity. This week had a lot of opportunities, right? A little bit of a range happening on Nvidia as well as some of these other names. A little bit of a downtrend happening on a few tickers as well. Yeah, people talking about the 8-ball. D. Westermeyer is saying, sorry, Obi, I got the 8-ball from Jim Cramer. Yeah, we did close below 18.5. So yeah, maybe do the opposite, right? Go with the S, Jim, and kind of go the other way when it comes to that. But we'll see. But without any further ado, I think they're ready for us at the big desk. So shout out to Neil. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with us today. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. Take it easy. Take care. Happy trading.
Thank you very much, Obi. Let's get into it. We got the market recap show here in today. Going to be joined a little bit later. That was interesting, a little empty desk there. I'm going to be joined a little bit later by Ryan Faluna from Benzinga. But man, was it ever a bloodbath today. Nasty way to end the week. And the worst part about it, it was a complete fake-out job, I feel, this morning with that big move to the upside. And, you know, when I highlight the board, we're going to be able to look at everything here. Yeah, Free Fall Friday was in full effect. I know ARK led the way. That should not be a surprise for the down moves here in today. But the NASDAQ, S&P, both tumbling. And we actually rallied at the beginning of the day. If we're going to start off maybe looking at the Qs, we rallied at the beginning of the day on the non-farm payroll number. You know, 142 versus 160. Then you even got a pretty decent number when it comes to average hourly earnings as well. You had Feb Williams making some comments in the morning. The jobs data was consistent with a cool down in the economy, and things sort of snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, and the bid just was not there today. I mean, the Qs, this is what happened at 8:30. We're actually going higher. What up, Fabian? Oh, it's this hand. See, this is what I'm talking about. I would love, that's what we need to do. We need to have the angel and the devil on our shoulder. It would be a really fun thing, because I know I've been in those moments where you're having that conversation with yourself as a trader. Why not have some fun with it? And then we can give the good side and the bad side of why we're doing what we're doing and what you know you should be doing in the back of your head. I think it makes a heck of a lot of sense, because today it really felt like, you know, there were so many opportunities out there, and I'll get to some of them in maybe a little bit more detail, but there were so many things where I was looking short and then didn't get enough of them. Like, I never got into AMD, which I wanted short the entire morning. I got 2 names pretty much, and they were good, but it wasn't enough to make up for the fact that we just kept trying to find bottoms and other things. So we end up the day, I want to call it flat, if not slightly green. It's just not good enough. It should have been a very good green day, even with the longs, because there should have been some really fantastic shorts that I wasn't able to grab. But overall, look, the NASDAQ did have a bad day. But I actually don't want to show the NASDAQ. We'll get to that in a split second. I have to acknowledge, because we had Chris Brecher on a couple of days ago, and he gave everybody, he said the Brecher ledge, and he gave it to everybody, the SPY support at $550. And then the following day, you know what, let me just start from the beginning. He gave everybody the 50 period on the SPY, which was holding. Like this was the level, the Brecher ledge, he called it. And you pop to the 15-minute. Yesterday, what happens? Yesterday, it breached. It was a good flush. It came back in, retested, and then sold off again. Today, the most obvious thing possible. It goes right into that prior level on our NFP number and promptly fails it. And when you fail that breakout of the Brecher ledge, reclaim all red. On a 15-minute chart, look at that red to the downside. So shout out to Chris Brecher. How come I'm not wearing the pimp cape around here? Here, let's put it on. Let's go. Let's go. He's pimp of the year. That's what I'm talking about. Do you see what I meant? That if I put this on, I'm just saying it because I'm allowed to. If anybody else said it, they get canceled. I'm allowed to say it. It's a little bit warm in this thing, so I'm probably not going to keep it on very long. But that's how I keep it pimping. And then there's a player haters ball. My favorite line from the player haters, Chappelle, I hate your guts. I hope all the bad things in the world happen to you and only you and no one else. That's like anytime you just like hating on somebody, that's a line you have to drop. So that's the level of hate that we should have for the lack of bid on the markets here in today. So everything was red, like I said. Q's down 3. SMH took it absolutely on the chin, down 4% in here. It is what it is. But you got to look and take stock of what happens here on the daily chart of SMH, because this is not good. The 50 period got rejected for the second time, and then it just lost the 200 period. Now, the good news is the last time it lost the 200 period was that August 5th low, and the next thing we did is just rally after that. But that was a gap back up. So the question for me on SMH is, can you gap back up above the 200 period moving average, which has been an absolute gorgeous long, any chance you've gotten it. But is this the time that we don't hold anymore? Like, you've got to be concerned about this. If we're not going to hold back above this 200 period moving average next week on the SMH, I'm not a fan here. Like, we got to start thinking about where's the next leg to the downside and where's the continuation for the shorts. Like, that's what's got to matter. I mean, we'll see what happens. I love all the chat, everyone in the chat. It's we're just trying to have some fun in here. I know for a lot of traders it was a mixed day and weeks, and for everybody, it can be difficult. And even though it's a trending market, I'll tell you right now, it can be difficult to trade. Now, if you have a relatively tight stop conservative style, station to station, for myself, these days aren't usually that bad because I'll usually capture some of the short. If not, I never usually get all of it. That's how it works. But you have like those nicer tight stops, not really fighting anything for too long. But you do miss out if you're not with the trend early or joining it at a reasonable time. So overall, not the best day. I do want to point out some relative strength. I mean, is it even relatively strong? Okay, fine, I'll acknowledge it because there's like one big green thing sticking out here. And that's natural gas. So natural gas with a bit of a bounce, but there's a daily chart. So this is what was green today on the ETFs, and this is what the daily chart looks like. It was one of those types of days. Worth knowing that natural gas is coming into a big level here, getting back into its 50 period and a previous support level. Could be an interesting breakout play in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I would usually throw up a weekly chart to see what happens here. Wow, the weekly chart doesn't look like any kind of an entry to a long. Okay, so ignore the weekly chart in UNG. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Good luck for everybody out there if you're even remotely interested in that name. So as far as the sectors go, when we have days like today, where it was an absolute long trap across the board on the numbers, you tend to have really good breadth to the downside. That's why you're looking across the board at everything essentially just getting waxed. It is what it is. Like, the one that stood out to me, and it's an individual name more than anything else, is actually Alphabet. This is the one, if it is an individual name, I'm like, what is going on here? It's going to be Alphabet. And so before we get to Ryan, I just want to point this one out. You're losing the 50 period on Alphabet, and this is a stock that I was considering what I wanted to start buying back into because of the significance of the level. Like, it's a 50 period. The 150 was just gigantic. The last rally up, it was resistance going back into the beginning of the year, pop all the way back to 2021, and it's 2021 highs on Alphabet. And that's what you're losing on the weekly. I needed it closing above. It doesn't want to close above it. So it's looking pretty nasty there as well. Jay Lee in the chat, I see you. You're long Boyle, but it's been at historic lows. It's not really got much lower to go unless you think they'll start giving it away. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody gives anything away. But Nat Gas, and this is what I see a lot of people that play Boyle or just go long Nat Gas with the theory that, well, it's got to make a bottom eventually, and then then it just continues a downward trend. So I understand why people will try to bottom pick this because you know the gains could be huge. I'm not a commodities trader. Usually what I would tell people is if a stock is going to make a big reversal and has a lot of room to go, then joining the trend when it makes the rounded bottom is usually going to be profitable anyways, and then you can avoid all the bag holding that goes along with trying to pick the actual bottoms. I don't like trying to pick bottoms. I like trying to go long after something is already bounced. And that's probably because when I started day trading, I was trading a lot of penny stocks where you darn sure didn't want to be just sitting randomly on the bid. You just wanted it when it started to get a little bit of upward momentum. That was the way I like to go it here. So we'll see. Or Alpha, y'all endorse the Widowmaker. Yeah, I know you're talking about natural gas too. Good luck for anybody now. They call nat gas the Widowmaker for a reason. Because traders get moked trying to step into it when they are not commodity traders. That's why they call it I'm not making it up. It's been the Widowmaker for a long time. I've been trading a while. Everybody calls that sucker the Widowmaker. And I don't know anybody on our prop floor that has ever been a natural gas trader. We've had oil futures traders. We've had Forex traders. We've had crypto traders. We've had lots of things that you don't see on the show. Never had a natural gas trader. I can tell you that for sure. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. Anybody can make money any way they want to. I do believe we ready for Ryan in here. All right, let's get on to it. Someone who I'm pretty sure doesn't trade any nat gas either. We got Ryan Faluna for Trader Talk. Welcome, Ryan. Oh, you got the gray. We both got the gray on. That's looking pretty good. We've got Ryan Faluna here from Benzinga. Now, I hope I didn't just make an incorrect statement. You're not a natural gas trader. I'm assuming you never have either.
So you not only did you not make an incorrect statement, but I am here to steel man you. I learned from two 40-year market vets that nat gas is indeed called the Widowmaker. Trade it at your own risk. No, I am not a nat gas trader. I did learn the hard way trying to trade some Boyle. Didn't really drastically hurt me, but I didn't win on that. You're 100% right. You're absolutely. I do not trade that. I am no good at that.
What's so amazing, and this is why I could confidently say it. It's not hyperbole. I was hearing that when I started trading 20 years ago. People were, and they're still saying it today. And it's always the same refrain. So it's an easier thing to stay away from when you've in 20-something years of trading. I guess it's wow, it's going to be 21. In over 20 years of trading, I don't know anybody personally that has been consistently profitable with that as their strategy. I've known other types of futures traders out there.
But I bet you know somebody that has a bad experience with that. I bet you know somebody that does that because I know several. I watched that thing go from 50 to 120, and with my eyes lit up like dinner plates. A couple of days later, things back at $30. It's like, you know what? We'll stay away from that. We'll find something else.
So I try not to give names when we do stories because there's been so many traders over the years. But there's one trader. They didn't trade nat gas here, they didn't do it on the prop floor, but it was something they traded in their own account. And I'll never forget. They told me they blew up an account twice trading natural gas. I won't name any names. A successful trader in a general sense. They did really well here. But every time they try to dip into natural gas for a play, they blow up accounts in their PA. And I'm talking about an actual quality trader that had a over 5-year career, let's just say, which is pretty good. Anyone over 5 years, you've done pretty well. But they would just get rinsed. I always find the number one important thing for a trader when it comes to longevity, regardless of what your strategy is put capital towards things that work for you. And don't put capital towards it or more capital towards it until it works for you. And that's a simple rule to live by. You can try lots of different things out there, but don't put the capital that you reserve for the things that are your best trades or your winning trades or your normal strategies. Don't throw that into something new. Be willing to be a beginner somewhere. I think that's always important. I didn't look at many small caps today, Ryan. I want to jump right into it because please tell me you traded Wheeler. I know it's a Friday. Please tell me you traded Wheeler. Everybody seemed to be making money on that thing today.
I did. So first of all, obviously you and I have a mind meld going today, and it's pretty sweet with the gray shirt, but I also shorted today. So we're going to get to Wheeler here in a sec. But my first trade of the day here was actually a short on ticker PATH, P-A-T-H. That's UiPath. This stock reported earnings yesterday, held its earnings into this morning. And guess what? We got the same setup I've talked to you about the last time. This time it worked out to the downside. We actually plunged first, kind of showing you that people were ready to sell this. Then we bounced through the VWAP. That actually frightened me a little bit because it went all the way to the top of the channel. I was actually underwater as soon as I bought it, but we did not break out of that channel. I added on the way back down. We snapped this and we were out right near 13. Now, this did come back to the VWAP and give you an even better short. I did not play that one. I played only the first one here out of the gate, but this trade was so good out of the gate. This kind of let me do some things for the next one. Now, as far as Wheeler goes, I actually had my chat busting on me a little bit this morning because this was this thing was a monster. This thing was halted all over the place. Here, in fact, let me see if I can go back and figure out how many halts this thing had. I mean, it was a ton. I did end up scalping this, but I missed the entire morning on it. I just scalped it after my path trade was done a little bit closer to the lunch hour. I can't wait to hear what you guys did with this, though. I really can't.
Well, to me, I missed Wheeler the whole way. Like in the afternoon, I mean, you had Roaring Kitty with the GameStop kind of action.
Okay.
So when that happened, I had a short in Chewy. Oddly enough, this is the value of Benzinga. I happened to be sitting at my desk. I had just finished my Achilles exercises that I do in the middle of the day. And I'd sat back down, and then there was the Roaring Kitty thing, so I punched short on Chewy, and then that came right back in, and then GameStop was going. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the market's bleeding. The only thing rallying is small caps and squeeze names. So if it's going to trend up, I've seen it too many times where you have a really bad day in the market, and then you get some good plays on some of those other names. So we had a bunch of traders, Tisha in the chat and a few others saying Wheeler, 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 and I was just long GameStop and Palantir in the afternoon, and they won, but Wheeler was the one. And so
Wheeler was indeed the one. 6 halts here today, by the way, just to get that number for you. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, for counting those up for me. Still, though, gave you some opportunities on the VWAP break there. Now, that Chewy issue that you were talking about, you did better than I on that because I heard about the tweet. I'm not big on Roaring Kitty. I don't really understand some of these cryptic memes. I'm not really a part of the GME AMC fascination. So don't really consider myself an expert. I kind of go to others that really kind of follow it closely. I heard about the tweet. Someone actually had to text me for me to hear about that. Didn't really put 2 and 2 together that this was Chewy. Saw that GameStop was moving, but someone actually had to explain to me, yeah, that's Woody being dropped by the kid, and it's got the dog face on it. And what does this all mean? I did not trade that one. I'm fortunate. I stuck with my Wheeler scalps. I was 2 for 3 scalping that, and I was 1 for 1 on UiPath. So it was a pretty light day, but overall my percentage was pretty good, and I'm happy with the gains, the dollar amount that I got.
Yeah, you have to be happy with it. Like as I said, I was lucky with Chewy. Like I happened to right time, right place. And if you looked at what was happening, I'm going to show the chart. I don't know if you had a look at this, but like it was trending down on Chewy, and then right in here, it's at 26.15 and 14.15, and it just even broke $26. And once that happened, it was as simple as like I literally got 98 or 99 short. And that was it. Now I tried another short in here on the way back that lost, but I mean it's just right place, right time situation. And then for GameStop, like I didn't clue in right away that would be good for GameStop. Mm-hmm. So I ended up not really looking at that until the afternoon. Like I feel like I should have, because like the first bounce on GameStop was really good because where it broke out from, like the symmetry here was almost perfect. Like GameStop broke out 22.56, like right in here. And then it dipped, wicked 22.56, and then rallied like $1.25. Like you could have had some good scalp longs off this, just based off it. This is when that whole nonsense happened. It goes right back to that level and it makes a bounce. We talked about that before on news events. If you get the bounce at the exact place that it started and starts trending again, it's a great place to look scalping. Maybe you don't expect it to go to the high, but at least you'll be able to make a little something on the way back up. A quick question for you, because you saw what the market did today. Like, I mean, UiPath's chart looks a heck of a lot like every other chart out there, the way it sort of reacted. What are your thoughts going into next week based on this? It's really difficult to not be overall bearish. I know you're always looking for longs and small caps, which is probably going to be a good thing next week, unless you're willing to short, because it's looking like a bunch of short setups and bigger names.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I've actually been waiting for the market to sell off. In fact, I think a couple of weeks ago that I was here with you, someone in your chat had mentioned that I had been buying SQQQ from the teens when SQQQ was in the 9s. And that person is absolutely correct. I have actually been trying to time the SQQQ trade for a while, trying to time one of those shorts here for a while. Be honest with you, right before the market opened today, when we were kind of going through the rundown earlier on my show, I said, hey, watch out. This feels like one of those days where the market kind of trade up and then reverse. Not sure it's really going to like plunge and scare people, but it could end up closing lower. And if you take a look at the SPY chart, that's exactly what took place here today. Now, as far as next week goes, my big issue right now is like, yeah, generally speaking, I would be like, oh man, I probably should have loaded up on some more shorts. It's going to be a little shaky over the weekend. We might start a little nervous next week. People might be hungover from the opening of the NFL season and all of that stuff. But I'll be honest with you, the buy the dip mentality has been so well trained in this market that I'm okay kind of waiting that out. Let's see again if maybe we try and pop and then we can get an intraday short setup. I'm not carrying anything over the weekend. I'm going to reassess in the pre-market on Monday and see where we're at. While I'm hoping for more downside on the broader market, I am not 100% confident that that's what we're going to get, as we've seen that buy the dip has worked for a long time. So that's going to keep working until it doesn't. I'll kind of wait that out.
Yeah, and to your point, like one of the things when I was going over the sector watch, I was pointing out that look, SMH obviously took it on the chin today. I mean, that's obvious. But it got to the 200 on SMH, 200 period moving average. And it's like, okay, that looks really, really bad. But the last time it did this, it essentially, that was that August 5th low. And then it just proceeded to run from 200 to 250. So you got like a 25% move bottom to top. Now you're not getting all of that. Like you're getting more like 215 in. And you could easily just come in on Monday, pre-market, we're regaining that, and suddenly it looks bullish again. So I'm with you. Holding over a weekend like this is pretty perilous. I would suggest there's going to be a few people that come in on Monday morning a little bit weary-eyed. Because there's, when you got I think it's Detroit and the Rams are playing on Sunday night. I got Jameson Williams in a couple of leagues. I'll be interested in watching that.
I snatched him up too, but I mean, I'm waiting for the new era of Chicago Bears football here that's going to kick off at noon. I'm telling you right now, if they lose that game, I am not going to be in the best headspace on Monday, no matter how hard I try. One more thing about the charts here with the SPY. You did a great job there with that SMH chart. Here's the thing that's really going to bake your noodle. If you want to take a look at this SPY chart here, we're just starting to roll over. Look how much room we have to the 200 period moving average on SPY, right? I've got that down here at 513.43. Our current price here is 539. You know, the last time that we touched that 200-day moving average in SPY was back in November of 2023. So if this continues, if we get more downside, the reality is that there's a lot of room to go. And I think that is going to entice some short sellers. I want to make sure that we are actually in that move before I load up on that. You'll notice from the chart that we were just looking at there, I'm actually 2 points above the 100-day. We'll see next week if that provides any support at all.
Right. Yeah, that's a key one. I like the bake your noodle. I feel like I haven't heard that one in a while. I like that, Ryan. You're always keeping us on our toes, and that's what it's all about. We got to have a little bit of fun while we're out here trading. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it is a bit of a lonely business when you're trading, because when you're in the trade, it's you, it's your chart, and there's no one else. And I know we get to enjoy talking to each other as traders or talking to our viewers, but you do have to try to lighten it up a little bit. Winning day, losing day, let's just have a little bit of fun with it. So, okay, that the SPY. We were just finished saying, like, let's see how it works out on Monday. All that room to the downside. And this is where I'm at here, because even if we were to bounce, when I'm looking at the SPY chart, the SMH one, I look at the chips, I feel like they could kind of do their own thing for a little bit. And if there is a rally, I can easily see the chip names maybe extending it a little bit stronger than the broad market, especially the S&P 500. When I look at the S&P, I also see we lost that 50-period moving average. Even if we were to bounce to begin next week, my first thought's got to be short back into that same 50 period. At least the first time through, I think you're going to run into a bunch of sellers there, because you're going to have overhead resistance on like a bunch of stuff. Like, I mean, Apple's going to have a bunch of overhead resistance that's going to work into. Google looks relatively weak. I mean, Apple for sure, when that gets back in like the 225, 230 range, I think you're going to have a lot of overhead resistance. I think you're going to have some trouble convincing people next week that you can have a short-term rally that gets us back to those previous 550 levels, and it's not just going to be a sell event. So I think you want to be ready for that, even if you're taking it off for the first couple of days. If we do get a rally, in the back of my mind, I'm still going to be looking short if we get back to that 50 on the SPY.
Well, see, that's exactly right. This is exactly how I think traders should approach this, right? Because if you're looking at today and you're thinking, oh my God, we're going to go down some more. This is bad. I got to get short here today. And then we have some type of relief rally that shakes you out on Monday. That would not be any good. Why not just wait, see if we do get a trade back up, see if that overhead resistance really starts to show its face, and now you can re-enter your short. It'll probably be an easier trade. Yeah, that's me, Ryan, saying that the short is probably going to be easier if you get a better entry on that. So to me, I just don't, again, I feel like the market's kind of telling us something. Nvidia's trading a little bit differently. Broadcom beat and raised last night, traded down. Like, things are different now, right? And I really do think that having some of these blue chip stocks having their fundamentals reset and their PEs come in is actually going to be good for long-term investors and people that are in the market for the long term. The question then is, if you think that that's the case, how are you going to position yourself for the short term? We're active traders, right? Like, I can't just wait this out. I got to figure some stuff out in the meantime. Well, if I think, like, for example, we come in and test that 200-day moving average, maybe even break beneath it, well, there's a down move there that I can try and capture first, but I'm not going to stick my neck out on a Friday before the weekend. Right. I'm going to wait for that setup and see if I can confirm it first.
That's the beauty of trading, is you can always wait for confirmation to make your trade. You don't have to be early. You've just got to be right with your entry and exit plan. That's it. You don't have to be the first person in through the door. And oftentimes, I think you don't want to be the first person through the door. There's very few circumstances where I want to be that first trade. Sometimes you get a breakout that's that good. Before we get you out of here, I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a Bills fan. I've said this a few times. But I'm starting the Bears defense. I got the Bears defense. My main league that I'm in with Sean and our high school buddies, we start two defenses in a dynasty league. And along with the Buffalo Bills, the Bears are my other D, and I'm riding them. I think the Bears are going to have a good year. I think they should win this weekend. I know you're going to have some fun there. But Ryan, tell everybody where they can find you. Obviously, I want you to have a fantastic weekend, but more importantly, a great trading weekend next week as well. But tell everyone where they can find you.
Will do, but I'm sorry, man. You can't just talk about the Bears and not let me say one more thing about them real quick. I actually saw a stat earlier today, something like in the past 20 years or something like that. Number one overall quarterbacks are 4-20-something on their first ever game in the NFL. So look, Caleb's supposed to be the man. Let's see what happens. I agree with you. They should win that game. I'm hoping that they win that game. Your Bears defense pick, that's awesome. That's someone that's paying attention. That defense was top 10 last year, got better with the addition of Kevin Baird. And if this offense is better and they spend less time on the field, they're going to be even more efficient. Really good pick there by you. Go Bears. Yeah, I mean, let's see what next week brings, right? Let's see what it brings. I hope that I really hope that we get a good tradable move, right? I want the setup. I want the setup. Now, you want to know where you can find it? Come see me at benzinga.com. The pro platform that we use and you use is pro.benzinga.com. Our YouTube channel in the morning does live trading. You can always come say hi. We'll be around. We'll be doing it. We'll be here active next week.
Absolutely. And we'll have you back next week to talk all about it as well. We love talking to you every single time. Hey, win, lose, or draw. I'm glad you were all over that Wheeler and a great shorting opportunity there for UiPath. That was an absolute banger to the downside.
I owe my chat for Wheeler. They were busting on me. They were saying this is the one that you should trade. I followed suit. Thank them.
Our community too. Everyone was busting balls. That's the one you had to be on.
Trading with the community is the way to go, boss. It's the way to go.
100p. Every single time. That Ryan Faluna, thank you so much. Have an awesome weekend. Go Bears at least this week for sure. Enjoy it, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're converting him. Bears and Bills there. Hey, you know what time it is? Bears, Bills. Bears and Bulls. You know what time it is. It's going to be roll call time. We had a fantastic week. If you like volatility, this is the place to be because we try to trade things. We've got to thank Ryan for coming on here, talking about the small caps, talking about the overall market, talking about his trades, talking about the plan for next week. That's what we have to do as traders. As long as we are sharing our ideas and all trying to get better, it's going to make trading a heck of a lot easier because you know it's a hard game. But it's roll call time, everybody. I already shouted out the best moderator in all of YouTube, Bears versus Bulls. Our fantastic community. You guys are all amazing, but I got to give a big shout out to Ramin, who's like, let's get out of here because it's the weekend. And shout out to Fabian and our entire crew. But I'm going to drop every single name that I can. I'm going to take a big breath, and I'm going to start begrudgingly with Alvin, who just said JETS. Okay, Alvin, nobody is perfect. We love you anyways. Shout out to Neo Rob. Wait a minute. Did I just see Raider in here? It is. It's Andrew Raider. What up, Andrew? How's it going, brother? Thank you for the super chat. Oh, I love you, brother. No other person. I'm going to read it because he did a super chat. No other person I let bake my noodle than Neil Goodweek. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but I'm going to take it in a positive way, even though that's a little sus. Thank you so much, Andrew. We love you, brother. A Raider Trader in the chat. Finch Jane Bears. I'm going to try my best here, but now you're going to be cracking up, Andrew. Derek Thompson, CompuCare team, Brandon Townsend. We got Asta. We got the Pipa. We got Fat Figa, Monty G, Rondo, Blue Arrow, Sinful Davy, Jimmy Joe Smith, Derek again, Pierlo, 4AXU, we got TH, we got Wall Street Only, Trader Forever, Easy Peasy, Freddy, the Friendly Guy 2.0. Still haven't seen the 1.0. Finch Jane, we got Crypto FOMO, Darwin, we got Ryan in the chat. What up, Ryan Faluna? Again, thank you, brother. Farm Trader, Anthony Demonici. Sorry about that. I can't get that one right. Raider again wants points. Anurag in the chat. Derek S. Lawrence the One. We've got Bala Krish, Mark L. Easy Peasy again. Matt Carnes. Thank you so much, Matt Carnes. Great questions earlier in the day. Bala one more time. Farm Trader again. Now we're repeating ourselves a little bit here. Hey, Farm Trader just won 20,000 points. Man, Streamlabs been stealing from me all week. I haven't won in a month, it seems like. Streamlabs is... I'm not going to say it, but Streamlabs clearly doesn't like me. I'm just saying a dangerous Nile in the chat. Mike Walter, Palm Trees, good vibes as well. Good vibes everywhere. Shout out to everybody in our community. I wish we could get to every single person. We love you all. Trading is a lot of fun, but it's a heck of a lot more fun doing it with a great community like this. Shout out to Obi for filling in for Sean. Sean at the rink all day. With Gia as she's back on the ice and doing a great dad thing as well. Still got to make our picks for the Survivor. I know you're not watching, but Sean didn't get back to me. We've got to make our picks for the Survivor pool this weekend. We'll talk on the weekend about that. Big shout out to Adara, Sharif, the entire team, as I said. But you know what the best part about all of this is? We get to come in on Monday and do it all over again. The market never sleeps. Back here, 8:30, Monday morning, Trader TV Live. We'll see you then.